This is Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily with Andrew Hustler Paterson and Michael Remis.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Andrew Hustler Paterson, Michael Remis with you. Coming straight out of a steamy weekend and a very, very hot start to the week. It's pretty tropical around here. I hope you survived the heat dome on the weekend and you were either in a pool, in a lake, or in AC throughout. I can tell you there were 32,000 of us plus at Princess Auto Stadium that sweated out a big Bomber win against the Toronto Argonauts on Friday. We will be touching on that today with Taylor Allen of the Winnipeg Free Press. We saw the Sea Bears actually lose their first game at home yesterday. We'll touch on that. Remo was actually at the game. The Fish sweated out their homestand on the weekend heading into the All-Star break. And, of course, we've got the Final Four set at the World Cup. FIFA's top 4 ranked teams, France, Spain, England, Argentina, be going at it tomorrow and Wednesday for a spot in this weekend's World Cup final. So lots to get to, but the big news right off the top is that Viggo Björck has signed with the Winnipeg Jets. Jets just announcing in the last hour that their prize rookie picked 8th overall in this year's draft is signed, sealed, and delivered to the Winnipeg Jets. And we'll discuss that in just a minute when we bring Michael Remis. Great to see everyone. Let us know how your weekend was in the chat, how you're doing, if you're overheated or not. And a big thanks to all the sponsors that make WST happen each and every day. Of course, our partners at Coolbet. Speaking of Coolbet, right off the bat, I will mention, Jake just texted me, cold freezing with a big 40-point week 6 in the Pick'em contest. Pretty wild. So there's a tie at the top of the overall leaderboard for the Grey Cup trip. Tedley 2 and Skins 44 are both at 120. Cold freezing with 40 in 1 week. So you can certainly make up some ground. Week 7 is live, though. You can get your picks in right now. CFL starts on Friday, so you do have plenty of time. But again, do not forget those picks. And while you're at it, heading there to Coolbet under the league, the Open Pick'em. Again, completely free, great prizes for the golf this weekend, the Open Championship, Royal Birkdale, I believe. It's live right now. Jump in on that. Make sure to take advantage of it. All you do is need a Coolbet account, no deposit or anything needed. You can win some great prizes. And tomorrow at 10 a.m. right here on the channel, we'll have our WST Winners Open Championship preview and picks. And it's a perfect time to do that because Patty and I banged off a almost 19-1 winner for the Sunday Sweat Club on the weekend and hit Tom Kim at 66-1 to win the Scottish Open. So the boys are hot. Join us tomorrow at 10 a.m. for the Open. And CFL 110 this week will be 10 a.m. on a Wednesday. So there you have that, a little programming note. Also want to thank Princess Auto, Chud's Power Sports, Clean Line, Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical, Manitoba Battery in Aikens Lake, Breezy Bend, Royal Sports, Boston Pizza, Little Brown Jug, Travel Manitoba, the Gold Eyes, Rolly's Transfer, St. Vital Dental Center, and Assiniboia Downs, which is racing tonight. Normally we don't get many Mondays. We got a Monday tonight. It's dollar days, great concession items, and the Wiener Dog races go. We're going to deal with the heat tonight and get out to Assiniboia Downs. Post time is at 7:30. And, of course, we'll get to a why not question of the day for Not Autocorp over at Waverly and McGillivray. Shout out to all you podcast listeners, wherever you're listening, and a big welcome to all of you in the chat sweating it out here in southern Manitoba right now. And welcome to you, Michael Remis. What is up?
Hey, yeah, staying cool here in my basement. It is a hot one out there, and what a great weekend it was, starting off with the Bomber game Friday night. Bike to that, I got to say, the picture of you and Gary Lawless on the concourse, I think, broke the internet. So many comments on our Instagram, mostly about what you guys were wearing. I see people in the chat commenting that you wore a hoodie to the game Friday.
Okay. I need to address that and everything. So, if you recall, folks, on Friday's show, just as it was getting really hot, I was wearing. Okay, there's the picture. Okay, listen, we're burying the lead. Larry Linen, aka Gary Lawless, had quite the outfit on. I gasped when I saw his shirt. Not that it wasn't cool. Like, it actually was a great, really good looking shirt. And he pulled it off very well. I cannot lie. He's turned into a bit of a fashion plate down in Vegas. I'm not sure, Remis, whether he has a stylist from all his TV work or just a number of people that have worked on him. But it was a great, great look for Gary, first and foremost.
Great shirt. I agree. I thought Gary was looking pretty good. Really nice picture of you guys, too, on the concourse of Princess Auto Stadium. Got like almost 1,000 likes there on our Instagram page. So,
well, as I said on Twitter, I mean, I love going to games. I love meeting people. I've always got a time to stop for a quick pick with a fan of Winnipeg Sports Talk. And, well, it just happened to be Gary that wanted that pick. Kidding aside. Now, as far as what I was wearing, I've got a good Bomber t-shirt that I'll often wear, jersey sometimes. But I bought that thing a week or two ago, and I got it at Royal, and this is not like a big hoodie, like you would, like our WST ones or the Coolbet ones that are like warm. It's a much thinner hoodie. But I kind of thought it was more like, one of those sort of fishing shirts that have like, it's long sleeve and it's got the thing that you can protect on sun if you need. I was kind of thinking it was more like that. I can tell you after wearing it to the game, the breathability that I was counting on was, I misjudged that. And like in the seats, it wasn't bad, but there were a few times where I was out or moving around that I was like, what in the world am I doing? Now, it wasn't as hot as it probably looked, but I did look like I was cutting weight for a fight or something like that. So anyways, I sucked it up. Only in the peg. Lawless is just missing the rhinestones. Yeah. Anyways, I had many people ask me about that and said I was nuts. I just basically took the L on that and said, yeah, I misjudged. I misjudged. I whiffed. And I was pretty hot at times. But, everyone was hot. The Bombers were hot. And that was, just an awesome, awesome night for the Canadian Football League. I was saying to Iwanek on Lock Shop today, Reem, that if you dropped someone in, there was just a sports fan, that goes out to, just sports, concerts, events. And you took them and they had never been exposed to the Canadian Football League before. And you dropped them into Princess Auto Stadium on Friday night. I guarantee you, they walk out of there going, that was amazing. What a great time. And I will be back. The crowd was phenomenal. And I thought that really the last two games, Reem, listen, I know the sellout streak ended because I think they were 100 tickets short, which is too bad. But again, still an unbelievable. The fourth quarter of the Edmonton game, the fourth quarter of the Argo game was as loud as I can remember hearing the crowd just in support of the defense. Like listen, I know there's a lot of people screwing around for the first half of the game or in the rum hut or whatever, maybe being in and out of the game and in and out of their seats. But holy smokes, did the crowd step up in the last 2 games for the Blue Bombers, and obviously they rewarded them with a win. But it was certainly the place to be. It continues to be, and finally the home fans got a chance to walk out of a Bomber home game with a victory after 2 uncharacteristic losses at home to start the season.
Yeah, that was a huge pop in the building for the Trey Vavel return. After the missed field goal, they called the timeout out before. A very CFL moment, and it makes you think, man, like, sucks they're not gonna have these anymore, because it was the turning point of the game that was solidified the win for them, or gave them a pretty comfortable lead. And again, very loud, great atmosphere. And I couldn't help but thinking over the weekend, like, I watched the Thursday night game in Edmonton on TV, and that's a team that's first in the league, and there was nobody at the game. And the Bombers continue to be the class of the CFL. Great atmosphere around the stadium before the game. Awesome crowd in the game. It was a little hot, but it wasn't too bad. But it was a great night, and I got to see a win and some great quarterback play, Huss.
Well, exactly. And I mean, what did I say on Friday? Wouldn't it be great to roll into Monday with a bit of a quarterback controversy on our hands? Not that I wanted to manufacture a quarterback controversy, but that's what happens when somebody else comes in and plays their ass off. And I thought Drew Brown did exactly that. Man, he's got a great arm. It's fast, gets rid of the football, makes quick decisions. I mean, there's an element of hero ball at times, and obviously he had that one pick that he would have liked to have had back. But overall, for a guy coming in off one day of practice last week, great performance by Drew Brown. Certainly they don't need to rush Zach Caleros back, and maybe we'll see Drew Brown get the ultimate revenge game opportunity coming up on Sunday when the Bombers head to the nation's capital to take on the Ottawa Redblacks. We will have Taylor Allen jump on with us in a few minutes, and we can sort of dive into more on the game. But you mentioned the Trey Vavel. That was as loud, like that moment, that play. To be honest, the play that it reminded me of, and probably the crowd noise level was very similar, was in, I can't remember what year this was, but I was sitting in almost the exact same spot in the north end zone when this happened, with Janarian Grant running that kick back to the house in the Banjo Bowl about probably 6 years ago or something like that. That was a moment that I'll always remember. And then for Vavel to do it, and to sort of redeem himself after the gaffe that gave Toronto the ball in the first place on that drive, and the bizarre nature of the timeout. I mean, listen, for those of you, if you're thinking about, the hockey gods or football god, like the break the Bombers got by thinking that they were apparently had too many men and called that timeout. Some people thought that they were icing the kicker with 9 minutes left. I mean, that just simply doesn't happen. Hairolahu makes the 3. They have to take it off the board. He kicks it again, misses, and Vavel takes it back to the house. That's a 10-point swing on a timeout, and they won the game by 9. So we'll talk more about this with Taylor Allen, who's going to be coming up, in the next segment. And we will talk more with Mike McIntyre on this topic, Remo, but big day for Winnipeg. They got a name on the contract. Viggo Björck is a Winnipeg Jet, signed, sealed, and delivered. And this not a surprise because, as many of you probably saw on social media on the weekend, was it Djurgarden, his old team, put out a post on the weekend announcing that Viggo was going to North America and thanking him and wishing him great success, said that they would have loved to have had him for another year, but he's moving on, which basically teed up today's announcement in the last hour or so that the Jets' prize prospect and number 1 pick in 2026 has signed a contract, and it is now officially Viggo time here in the Peg.
very exciting us here on very hot July 13. Winnipeg Jets signing their 8th overall draft pick, Viggo Bjorck. 3-year ELC, entry-level contract with an AAV $1.075 million. And they put out this picture on social media of him signing it, rocking a Jets hat. And they've already announced, his number, what number it's going to be. And take a look at this, rocking number 61 for the Winnipeg Jets. Never worn before in Jets 1.0 or 2.0 history. I think 61 is a cool number. Rick Nash made it famous. Mark Stone. It's kind of like 91, made famous by many, but you flip the 9 upside down to become a 6. So could Viggo Bjorck be the answer? At second line center, you got 91, 61. I'm not sure who else will be, but I think this is exciting for sure. And yeah, they put out the note to his Swedish club, Djurgarden, on Saturday that he was moving on. And I will say, the Viggo Bjorck mania has been a huge boost for WST social media. Half our views now are from Sweden on any Viggo-related post. So people are asking me, is he going to come in and make an impact? Well, if he was, the response from the Swedish fans leads me to believe, this guy going to be a player, aside from everything that we've heard everyone say about him and how he played at development camp. I've never seen this, Huss, for any Jets draft pick with excitement from overseas.
Laine was, I would compare it, Laine certainly was in that.
Yeah.
There was so much hype and excitement. And the thing is, we'd seen him play at a really high level before in the World Juniors and in the World Championships. Sound familiar? It's exactly what this guy is. This isn't someone coming from a junior team or something that a bunch of people say is good, but we haven't seen him play. We have. And, just think about our conversations about Bjork during the World Championships, where people had heard about him, were making a point of watching the Swedish team play and going, wait a second, this guy is something else. So I'm fired up. Now, listen, I'm gonna have to warm up to number 61. To me, it's more a backup offensive line number. I guess. Traditionally, if I saw someone wearing 61 at training camp, I would think they're unlikely getting an exhibition game and probably, hopefully, going to be in the American League, if not the East Coast League, or going back to junior. But it's a different time. And if Viggo wants to wear 61, I will get behind it. Maybe I'll get a 61 jersey at some point. The bottom line is this guy has really, really injected a lot of excitement into this fan base. And Remis, until another center shows up in Winnipeg, he's signed. He's going to be here. I know I thought that he'd probably start the year with the Jets and maybe get time on the fourth line. They might just say, screw it, kid, this is where you're going to be. It might take 10, it might take 20 games, but we believe in you. Play with some good players and see what you can do early on and hope that he runs. I'm really looking forward to getting some Calder odds over at Coolbet, to be honest with you, because I have a feeling a whole bunch of us. He's going to have maybe as much as any player, in that, right there, Stenberg and McKenna, you'd imagine will be sort of top 6 players right out of the gate. But he'll have that opportunity right there with those guys. And opportunity is a big part of being able to win an award like that. But yes, let the 61s start getting printed at Royal Sports and everywhere else. I wouldn't be surprised, in fact, if there are people right now at Royal Sports saying, hey, I need a jersey, 61, Viggo. Now, did they have the umlaut in stock? I guess we'll find out.
You have to, yeah. Well, they have it on the jersey. If you want to, if you're a jersey snob and you want to have a legit jersey, they have to have it on there. And now that Viggo Bjorck is part of the Winnipeg Jets, I need to memorize the keyboard combination to get a lowercase or capital O
You're gonna need that.
with the umlauts. I want to make it accurate. I do have it in our YouTube title, Jets sign Viggo Björck. So people, I think on phone it's easier. You just hold down the key. But if we want to be accurate, Huss, we got to know how to use the umlaut. And he's the second player in Jets Thrashers franchise history to wear 61. Maxim Afinogenov is the other player. So it's been worn. It's been worn before, not by many, but certainly.
At least it's been by good players. I mean, you wouldn't think that looking at the number, but like Stone, absolute stud, Rick Nash. And Rick Nash, I think, was the first one to wear it. And I remember going like, why in the world is this guy wearing number 61? Well, at some point we'll talk to Viggo and we'll find out what the story is. But it's certainly his number in Winnipeg. There's no other 61s that come to mind.
Looking at Hockey Reference, not a lot of 61s before the year 2000. You might be able to count on one hand, and that's not an exaggeration. One guy wore 61. Corey Stillman won the Cup with the Carolina Hurricanes in 06 and wore it with a number of teams for a while. So there's definitely some famous 61s, but as you said, a pretty recent number. Not a lot of people wearing it before the year 2000.
You know, I think this is a big moment for the umlaut as well as a. And what do we call that? A punctuation symbol? Regardless, the umlaut has basically been only synonymous with Motley Crue for a long time. We all know about the infamous Motley Crue show here last week. So I think the umlaut was kind of stocked down. Now Viggo Bjorck's in town, umlaut on the jersey. We won't think about whenever we see that the two dots, we won't think Motley Crue anymore. We will think Viggo and Viggo Mania here in Winnipeg. Remo, am I going to need to learn like a Swedish greeting or something for the start of our show? For all the Swedes that come in?
Got to start learning. I did see the Winnipeg Jets posted a picture on X of their lunch, which is some meatballs with a Swedish flag in the shape of number 61. So I was at IKEA yesterday. Might have to head back there today.
You went to IKEA? And do they actually sell those meatballs there?
Yeah, you can buy them frozen. Well, it was teddy bear toss at the Sea Bears game. So I went with my kids, and we picked up some panda bears there, and they tossed them on the court. Great promotion. A lot of stuffed animals on the court. I know my kids enjoyed that one, so shout out to the Sea Bears.
Yeah, I mean, it really was a fun.
The Gold Eyes in action as well. It was a hot one. They played the games.
Connor went back to back with Sea Bears, Bombers, Gold Eyes, and then you were at the Sea Bears game yesterday. It was, as I say, it was a weekend, and I can't wait for the Downs tonight. By the way, I know we'll talk about this later on. We do our picks, but tonight is one of they have a few Mondays. I think this is the Monday, and then they'll have it again in 3 weeks, another Monday. They've got all the great dollar deals. So like $2 hot dogs, $1 canned pop, $1 chips. I think the regular lemonade is $2. Beers of certain brands are $5. But it's the wiener dog race that I am most excited about. That is happening at 9:00 tonight. I have confirmed. I can report breaking news tonight. The wiener dog race is 9 p.m. after race 3. 20 Dachshunds race for the title today. Unfortunately, I've also confirmed that there will be no wagering on the wiener dogs like the horse races, but we will still enjoy it, and you can have some. If you're out there with your friends, you can maybe bet each other and do a bit of a draft on all of the dogs. So anyways, that's coming up tonight. we should get right into the Bombers because I do want to bring Mike on and talk a little bit more about, just some of the buzz, hella buzz, if you will. More talk over the weekend about where things stand. Mike had some takes, so he will join us. And but just before we get to that and into the thing, Remo, have you seen, like, this just might be my algorithm, but I've had a lot of WGR 550 popping into my feed because guess what they're talking about right now in the middle of summer in Buffalo? Connor Hellebuck. And as much as I know we've talked a lot about this trade, it is certainly still a very big topic in Buffalo, New York.
Yeah, and they did just sign Peyton Krebs to a contract as well, as we did get arbitration dates, Cole Perfetti, July 20, but still a lot of conversations. I see Mike McIntyre speculating in the Winnipeg Free Press. David Pagnotta was on Hello Hockey Show with Tom Gazzola on the weekend saying, they're still having conversations, the Jets and the Sabres. So we'll see what happens here. I feel like if it hasn't happened yet, maybe not for a while, but, the Jets, it is interesting that the Jets signed Stuart Skinner, who does have the same agent as Connor Hellebuck. And you look at the Jets lineup, they still have that hole on the second line. You got to find someone to play with Bjork and Perfetti if that's your second line. Do they go and try to make a play at an unsigned free agent? Anthony Mantha comes to mind as a guy who might be a fit there. Or do you do a deal with Connor Hellebuck if he really truly does want a change of scenery? That's what is the wording that's being reported by insiders? Open to a change,
open to a change, and then Elliot Friedman says, "Oh, I don't see how it would go if he went back." So, I mean, read the tea leaves, everybody. Listen, if Hellebuck's back, it won't be because he wants to be here, and it'll be because that no NHL GM gave Kevin Cheveldayoff what he feels is fair value for the greatest Winnipeg Jet, certainly of the 2.0 era and arguably all time. And I don't think there's a question about it if you were just talking about awards. There's no one that's ever won a cup for the Winnipeg Jets. So we got an MVP and 3 Vezina trophies. No one else is close. So, this is not going to be a guy that, as we've said a million times, they're just, given a loony for 3 quarters. Or even 4 quarters. Jack Quinn has been a guy that's name has been brought up a lot in these trade talks. Whether he is part of the offer of Buffalo or something that the Jets maybe are trying to get added in, very difficult to tell you. But he, of course, is a former 8th overall pick, just like Viggo. And just coming off his first 20-goal season in the NHL with 20, 31, and 51 points. So that is a guy that, potentially could be on the move to Winnipeg. If not, I'm right there with you, Reem. They will look to have an ad, even if they are just plugging Viggo Bjorck into the center position on line 2, which I think is not a sure thing, at least early on in his career. You're definitely, because right now, if you pull it up, is it Nino Niederreiter? Listen, if Nino played his way back into the conversation for there, that would be great for the Jets, but I think he's got a long way to go considering the play that he had last. So anyways, we're going to talk about this with Mike McIntyre coming up in a few minutes. But the why not question of the day, I would like to know, why not question of the day for not Autocorp at Waverly and McGillivray with a ton of vehicles with great AC. How did everyone survive the weekend? What did you do to stay cool? Were you in a pool? Did you just stay in AC? Or have you been sweltering for the last 3 days and waiting for the end of it all? Let us know in the chat. I'm sure there's a few good stories on that. Hey, listen, do want to thank our friends at Clean Line for their support of WST. Cannot wait to do the Clean Line lines next week. Talking about a line centered by Viggo Bjorck, who just signed today with the Winnipeg Jets. Of course, the lines are always brought to you in season by Clean Line, plumbing, heating, and electrical, your residential and commercial plumbing experts. and Winnipeg's most trusted plumbers with over 40 years of fast responses, lasting results, and 24/7 emergency services across all of Winnipeg. When you're in a jam, Clean Line has you covered. Remember the number 204-500-2001 for 24/7 emergency services for Clean Line, also a proud sponsor of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. As is our friends at Manitoba Battery. Manitoba Battery is your local option with the best in batteries for literally everything. I know you're having fun this summer. Boats, RVs, bikes, ATVs, motorcycles, you name it. Manitoba Battery has the batteries for you, beating the pants off the big box stores with price and the best in customer service. So don't waste your time with these mega corps. Shop local at Manitoba Battery, save money, and get the best prices in town. They also offer delivery anywhere inside the perimeter of Winnipeg. Pop by and see them in person, Logan Avenue or Dovercourt Drive, or shop online today at manitobabattery.com. And hey, if you have a move coming up this summer or fall, make sure to get in touch with our friends at Rolly's Transfer, family owned and operated for over 60 years and the most trusted name in moving in Manitoba. You can check them out at their website at rollys.com. All sorts of information on their story, their services. But if you do have a move coming up, click on request an estimate. Put in the promo code WST for a special discount on moving services and moving supplies for Winnipeg Sports Talk listeners. And then simply let them know when and where you're planning on moving and what needs to go, and they'll turn it around with a great quote and get you locked in for the white glove treatment and service that Rolly's has been famous for now into their 7th decade. For all your moving needs, make it Rolly's, the most trusted name in the game. Find out more today or book an appointment at rollys.com. All right, let's bring in Taylor Allen of the Winnipeg Free Press for a wrap of the week in the Canadian Football League and the Bombers' 3rd win of the season, first at home. And then we'll talk more Jets and the Viggo Björck signing with Mike McIntyre. TA, what's good, buddy? How are you?
I'm doing better than I was last week. I mean, I was playing hurt last week on the show. You know, I was battling a pretty bad cold, and I tried my best. But thankfully, doing a lot better this week. And Huss, I think the Bombers are doing a lot better this week as well, considering they played probably their best game of the season on Friday against Toronto.
Yeah, listen, I mean, all phases of the game chipped in on that one. And we knew it was going to be a tough test. I didn't look through the numbers and get the exact number on the number of times that the Bombers had been a home underdog during the last 6-7 years, but I guarantee you can count it on one hand. I think it was only 1 or 2 other times. But they showed that they're still one of the great teams at home. They finally got that win in front of the home fans. And just overall, before we dive into it, I mean, what a night at Princess Auto Stadium. Funny enough, the crowd was not technically a sellout. I think they were 100 short. So the streak ends. But man, was that crowd into it. I mean, it was a hot summer night, Friday night. People were getting into the weekend. And I mean, if you have not been to a Canadian Football League game and you pluck someone down in Winnipeg at Princess Auto Stadium on Friday night, I'm not sure you could have had a much better sell job to someone experiencing the game for the first time. I mean, on the field and in the stands, it was it was a 10 out of 10.
And that fourth quarter proved that. I mean, just look at the reaction that Trey Vauvel's missed field goal return got. I mean, I was saying this off the air to you, Us. I think that was the loudest the stadium's been all season by far. The loudest it's probably been, dating back maybe even a season or two. I mean, that just really got everyone going, obviously. And then, defensively as well, the Bombers are trying to close things out and make life difficult for Chad Kelly, and the place was going bonkers. So, that fourth quarter, even though, again, like you said, technically it was not a sellout. I mean, it sure as heck felt like one at the end.
There's a lot of ways to go with this game, but I mean, I think the obvious place to start is Drew Brown's performance. I said on the show on Friday, just BSing with Reem and Connor, I said, wouldn't it be nice if we came on Monday and had a quarterback controversy to talk about? Now, I mean, I wasn't self-servingly stirring the pot, but the point was that if Drew Brown came out and had a great game, we're now talking about another legitimate option for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And, considering he hadn't been around very long, there was 1 day of practice. He wasn't even dressed for the last game. I think Bomber fans and certainly the Bomber organization has to be pretty happy with that deal that they made a few weeks ago to get him back to Winnipeg from Ottawa.
Well, I know everyone loves a good old-fashioned QB controversy, but I mean, Mike O'Shea's made it very clear this year. He said at least 2 or 3 times that he believes Zach Collaros is the best quarterback in the CFL. So even if Drew Brown went out there on Friday and broke Matt Dunnigan's single-game passing yardage record, there would be no question. If Zach is healthy, he is still QB1 here in Winnipeg. But yeah, of course, I mean, they made that trade for Drew Brown for a reason, and it's already paid off. I mean, no offense to Taylor Elgersma. I think he is going to be a good quarterback in this league one day, but I don't think he's passing for over 300 yards and putting 30 points on the board against anyone at this stage in his career. So, the Bombers, maybe they paid a pretty penny for Drew Brown, considering they'd probably get him in the offseason for nothing. But I mean, this is why they did it, because Zach Collaros this isn't a knock on him. I mean, this is just kind of the CFL in general. Not many quarterbacks play the whole 18-game season, right? You need a trusty number 2, and Drew gives them that. And I mean, 3 weeks ago, he was a disgruntled quarterback in Ottawa, right? I mean, kind of pissed off that he didn't even get a chance to really even fight to keep his job. I mean, Ryan Dinwiddie comes in-house and doesn't even let him take a snap in the preseason, gives the keys to the offense right to Jake Mayer. So fast forward 3 weeks later, Drew Brown is making his first start ever in Winnipeg. He started a few games for the Bombers in his first stint, but never at Princess Auto Stadium. So that alone is pretty cool for him. And, he gets to make some noise and have a heck of a game and lead the Bombers to a much needed win. So, very cool moment for Drew, and of course for the Bombers, you have to be thrilled that you did make that trade, and it's just kind of crazy how it all worked out. You make the trade for him, hoping that you don't need that insurance policy, but the second that insurance policy arrives, it's like, oh shoot, we got to cash it in now, and thankfully they did.
It was really interesting to watch Brown's performance because, I mean, he can still sling it, and man, he's got a strong arm. And that was the thing that kind of stood out. Like, and listen, Zach's been amazing for this team for a long time, but I think we saw last year, like, there were some times where I think we could legitimately question where Zach's arm strength was. And I think, like with many athletes, we're kind of living in real time, a little bit the law of diminishing returns. When Drew Brown was out there, now you can question his decision-making compared to a Zach. I mean, he does have a knack for maybe playing a little bit of hero ball. But to be honest, Zach over the last couple of years has done it as well, resulting in picks. The ability to make that quick decision and get the ball out and get to the receiver was as good as I've seen maybe from any CFL quarterback in a long time. I mean, and when Toronto was getting significant pressure on Drew very early in the play, it did not faze him. I mean, and I think the fact that he only had 6 incompletions on the day, Taylor, really speaks to that.
Totally. And yeah, I thought his pocket awareness, pocket presence was what impressed me the most. I mean, there were several times, like you said, there's a few, blue jerseys surrounding him, and he's tap dancing back there like no problem, right? Getting around these guys and making throws downfield. So, I mean, that was just a classic Drew Brown game. He's a fun guy to watch. I mean, and the guys on the team absolutely love him. Like, he's a fun guy to play with as well, they all say. And yeah, I mean, it's just kind of funny that Ryan Dinwiddie, one of the knocks that he kind of threw at Drew Brown was that, well, I don't know if he has the arm strength that I need from a quarterback for my offense. And it's like, really? Like, all of us people in Winnipeg that have watched Drew Brown for a few years, it's like, okay, you could say maybe he's undersized and whatever, maybe a bit of a gunslinger, he might force it up here and there a little bit, but I've never once thought, and I've seen him play every game he's played as a Bomber and a bunch of practices too, of course. I never once thought, oh, well, he's a good player, but he doesn't have the arm talent or doesn't have the arm strength to really make it in this league. Yeah. And obviously on Friday, he kind of proved that true, right? Like really, like there was no instance where it's like, oh no, like he doesn't have the strength to make that pass or whatever. So yeah, I think I'm sure that must have felt pretty good for Drew Brown and maybe silence some doubters in Ottawa, of course. And then for Zach, I mean, of course, yeah, he is still this team's best quarterback, of course. But I'd agree, Huss. I mean, there's even times in practice where there's a pass that's 40 plus yards downfield, and it doesn't look as easy for him as it used to. And throwing bombs isn't the most important thing to playing quarterback. If it was, guys like Jamarcus Russell would be in Canton, Ohio right now. There's obviously a lot more important things about the position. But yeah, well, with Zach, though, I mean, that is something that several people have noticed, that he just doesn't have quite as much arm strength as he used to. So if you watch this Bombers team, sometimes with him at the helm, it does kind of feel like they're kind of keeping things short in the mid-range, and you can get away with that, but it is something that people have noticed for sure, myself.
You mentioned what Dinwiddie had to say about Drew Brown. That wouldn't be the first time that we've been gaslit by a CFL coach before. I can tell you that much. It kind of seemed like that had nothing to do with arm strength and more to do with probably things that we don't see behind the scenes. How Drew handled the way Ryan Dinwiddie came in, obviously going with Jake Mayer right off the bat, and he got it. And you mentioned the price that the Bombers paid, and I know that was questioned by some to get Drew Brown here. If you think of players as assets, I can tell you right now that if they wanted to turn around and flip Drew Brown to the Hamilton Tiger Cats, who are desperate, they could probably get twice what they paid for Drew Brown, because, my God, was it telling last night, Taylor, that, I mean, quarterbacking is everything in the Canadian Football League. And the Ticats went from a team that looked like could absolutely win the Grey Cup to a team that might not win another game with one single injury to Bo Levi Mitchell.
Yeah, I was watching the Ticats Riders game last night with my girlfriend, Janelle, and she doesn't really follow the CFL. That has no, whatever. And we're watching the game, and she's like, does Hamilton really not have a better quarterback than this guy? Like, this guy is awful. How is this guy even in the league? So it's kind of funny that someone who really doesn't really follow the league or really know much about it, even it was clear as day to her that, Jake Dolegala is not the answer, which is sad. I mean, Hamilton was a great story early on, and like you said, looking like a legit Grey Cup contender. And yeah, all it takes is one hit in this league, and the Bombers knew that again, and that's why they traded for Drew Brown. If Zach went down, I mean, and this was a concern even in training camp. It was like, okay, well, Taylor Elgersma has this, this nice prospect, and Bryce Perkins, he's got a great resume, but can either one of those guys really, keep this team afloat if Zach, misses a few games? And I think the Bombers, realized pretty quickly that they would be in trouble if they had to rely on either one of those guys. And props to Taylor, like for a rookie coming into a very tough situation last week in Hamilton, he did his job. They didn't ask him to do a whole lot, but honestly, sometimes just not making any glaring mistakes is a tough ask for a young quarterback, right? And he passed that test. So if he doesn't play another snap this year, at least he could go into his second season in the CFL knowing like, hey, I did play a few drives. I did help this team win and whatever. So that gives him, some momentum going into year two, while also learning from Drew for the rest of the way.
Elgersma gets full marks in my book for what he did last week. I mean, he came in and, yeah, like I said all last week, they kept the training wheels on. But if you watched what was happening in that game, it was you didn't need to win it with your quarterback. You couldn't lose it with your quarterback. And you could argue that that's exactly what happened with Hamilton. I mean, they won a field possession battle. The defense did not allow Hamilton anything. And at a certain point, I mean, first of all, Elgersma did get the touchdown on Ontario Wilson. I mean, it wasn't the deep throw to the corner, but hey, they all count. And then, he was able to get behind center, lean on that offensive line, lean on Brady Oliveira. They didn't give him the ball back. Sergio kicks the winner, and the Bombers get the win. That's what he was tasked with. That's what he did. He gets an A in my book. I mean, it wasn't like they had to make up a 14-point deficit. They were right in it. They did what it took to win the football game, and that is the goal. Drew Brown had to do more. And listen, going into this game, I think the thought was, okay, if the Argo offense looks like it has so far this year, I mean, the Blue Bomber offense is going to probably have to go for 30-plus to win. Well, they did it. It certainly wasn't all on the backs of just the offense. We'll get to special teams in a minute, but I got to say, I was really, really pleased and impressed with what the Bomber defense was doing. I thought starting on the line of scrimmage, I mean, Willie Jefferson had an absolute monster game against Chad Kelly. They were getting to the quarterback, which they hadn't done very consistently throughout. And we're seeing the maturation of the secondary as well. And I gotta point out, was it Major Williams? I mean, that's not an easy task going up against Coxie, really, or any of the Argos receivers. I mean, that is, high-powered as it gets right now in the Canadian Football League, from 1 to 5 with a quarterback like Chad Kelly. And, are you going to get burned a couple times? Yeah, through 60 minutes. I mean, watch any CFL game. Even the best do. But, man, did they hang in there. And by the end of the game, it seemed like that Argo receiving corps led by Coxie pretty darn frustrated at how things had played out.
Yeah, I mean, of course, it's hard not to get excited about, if you're a Bombers fan, excited about Drew Brown and the play that Trey Vavle made. But I mean, if you're a Bombers fan, I think the thing you should be happiest about is honestly how the defense has greatly improved. I mean, we saw signs of that in Hamilton, of course, but against this Toronto team with Chad Kelly, who, by the way, love him or hate him, and I know most people hate him, but he's putting up some historic numbers this year. He's on pace to break, Doug Flutie's record from nearly 30 years ago. So yeah, he's doing some crazy things. And of course, he still, completed some passes downfield and whatever. But at the end of the day, though, nothing looked easy for that Toronto offense. I mean, that was far and away the best performance that the Bombers played, holding them to just 21 points. For the second week in a row, they didn't allow 100 yards along the ground as well. So that's encouraging news as well. But yeah, I mean, getting after the quarterback, I mean, that's something that this Jordan Younger defense, that's been a knock on them, even when they're at their best. But like you said, Willie Jefferson getting 2 sacks, his first multi-sack game since 2023. How crazy is that? But Willie, I don't know if he found the fountain of youth or it's just playing alongside Jake Srezna that has him kind of looking as sharp he is lately. But whatever it is, it certainly is working. And, Reddick Cramdy as well, sacking him and forcing that fumble as well was huge. I mean, you would like to see this defense force some more turnovers, but going into this game, if you told anyone on the Bombers, would they take that deal, holding Toronto to 21 points, I think everyone would say, absolutely, sign us up for that. So that was huge. And, Toronto's defense, a bit of a different story with them. They are probably by far the worst in the league. So that kind of helped Drew Brown as well, for being honest. And they did settle for more field goals than they would have liked to, but at the end of the day, though, I mean, that's still an impressive feat by the Bombers offense. But yeah, the defense, though, what they did, especially at the end too, because this team has shown early on that they were really struggling to close games out. But on Friday, that was not the case.
Speaking of forcing field goals, let's get to special teams. Listen, the Trey Vavle missed field goal return, 129 yards. That'll be a record that's going to stand, franchise record. It was 10 minutes earlier that he had probably his biggest gaffe as a Blue Bomber, and one that really did put the Bombers in danger of blowing a game that they had full control of. But I still can't get over the way that hole went down. Bomber defense does their job, holds them to 3. Hairolahu comes out for a field goal. There's 9 minutes left in the game. And the Bombers call a timeout. Now, I'm sitting there with some people that are going, are they trying to ice the kicker with 9 minutes left in the game? That's got to be the most bizarre use of a timeout I've ever seen. That didn't seem to be the case, though. There was a concern that there were too many players on the field. Whether or not that was the case, I'm not sure, to be honest, Taylor. But the bottom line is Hairolahu made his kick, had to come out and do it all over again, missed it, and Vavle takes it to the house. Literally a 10-point swing in a game that the Bombers won by 9 points. Speak to the good fortune the Bombers had, and then the redemption play of Vavle that created as loud of an atmosphere as we've seen and probably will see in a CFL stadium all year.
Yeah, Huss, this might be a new trick that teams try. They might, throw out an extra guy out on the field and then, oh, hold on, right before you throw that penalty flag, we'll call a timeout and make the kicker make it again. So, yeah, obviously the Bombers got a huge break there. And like you said, Trey Vavle, that was I think he's been far and away their best player so far this season, even heading into this game. So he has that fumble. You're like, oh boy, here we go. This is not good. This is the kind of the worst possible timing to have a gaffe like that. And he gets to the sideline and he said, man, I was so mad at myself. I was so pissed. And then, Patty Neufeld came up to me and said, man, flush it, forget it. You're still awesome. You'll get the next one. It's all good. Major Williams, the same thing. Rookie corner. They're roommates apparently. Major goes up to him as well. And he's like, man, like, you're good. Don't worry about it, whatever. So I kind of helped him, of course. And then, literally a few minutes later, he gets a chance at redemption and he fully capitalized, obviously. I mean, if you watch every game so far, it just kind of felt like, okay, Trey is due. Like, there's been so many instances where he's been so close to just kind of breaking that last tackle or finding that last hole to make his way to the end zone. So it kind of just felt like a matter of time for him to finally score one. And he picked a damn good time to finally score one, of course, and the place went absolutely crazy. So for Trey, that was a huge play by him. And yeah, like you said, I mean, that's probably going to end up being the franchise record for, forever, because with the rule changes next year, and early on in the season, Trey was asked about it, and he's like, well, the commissioner's got to call me. We got to talk about this. And now I guess someone on the Bombers PR staff got in his ear, because now he's not quite as passionate when we kind of ask him about it. I think he's trying to choose his words a bit more carefully now. But you could just see it on his face. It's just like, man, like, this is something that I'm making a living off of, right? This is like arguably the most exciting play in football in this league, and it's not going to be a thing moving forward. But with that said, I've talked to some people, and I don't know, there does appear to be some maybe rumblings that maybe that won't end up being the case. But I mean, I'll believe it when they actually send out a press release and say, hey, we're actually not going to make that change, at least. But who knows? Not to get people excited, because I know most people are against the rule changes, but it does sound like maybe there's at least some conversation happening. But maybe that's just wishful thinking by a lot of people. I don't know.
Full marks to the Bomber defense for closing it out. They get the 9-point win. Few days off during this sweltering weekend, which is nice. I'm sure the guys didn't want to practice in that. Back to it this week. Now, we don't know a lot about Zach's condition and anything beyond it's an upper body injury. But going up against the team that just traded Drew Brown, there's no way anyone other than Brown starts this week, right?
Well, I think selfishly, that's what we all want to see, because that would be must-see TV. And that's really the only thing that would make this Ottawa Redblacks team must-see TV at this point, because my goodness they are an absolute dumpster fire. And that's kind of putting it mildly, I think, actually, believe it or not. But yeah, I mean, Zach, he was listed out with a neck injury last week, and there wasn't really, I don't think there was any open practices last week. So there was really nothing for us to go off of information-wise. And of course, Mike O'Shea isn't going to serve anything up on a silver platter for anyone either. So tomorrow, I'm assuming they're back at practice tomorrow. They haven't released their schedule yet, and that should maybe give us some tiny bit of information, but we'll see. But yeah, I mean, if Zach is not 100%, even if he's 90%, even if he's 95%, why rush him out there? And it's not even because, well, let's give Drew Brown his shot at revenge. Of course, that's kind of nice, but like, that's not something that Mike O'Shea's thinking about. That's not how he operates. He's thinking about getting the win, and rightfully so. But yeah, I mean, Drew Brown proved, though, like, okay, you don't have to rush Zach back. Take your time. Make sure he's 100%. Make sure he's 110%. And of course, if Drew Brown does get to play that game, I mean, that's going to be one of the funnest storylines in the league probably all season. Like, you couldn't write a better script than that. So I'm pretty excited. I'll be in Ottawa for the game, so that'll be a fun one. And we'll see what Ryan Dinwiddie has to say leading up to that one, if Drew Brown does indeed play. And yeah, I mean, and if you're Jake Mayer, I mean, it's like, okay, it's been a terrible season so far, but now here's a chance. You get to go up against the guy that people are pissed off that they got rid of, and they think he should have your job instead. Like, ball out, man. Like, this is a chance for Jake to make a statement too. So either way, I think it'd be great for the league, and again, must-see TV. But we're probably not going to find out into the last minute whether or not Drew Brown is under center or not.
Jake's statement might be with the clipboard. I mean, you think there's a chance they might go with MBT? I mean, they're 0-5 right now. They brought him in. He certainly looked, I mean, for what it's worth, at the end of that game when he got in, like he can still sling it. His beard is in absolute tip-top condition, I will tell you that. I think as much as there's a question as to who starts in Winnipeg, I think it's a more legitimate question as to who should start in Ottawa this week.
Yeah, and that is a fair point. But I mean, with that said, I mean, I think there's a reason why McLeod Beth Thompson was available, at this stage of the season. And, his last few snaps with Montreal were far from pretty. But who knows? Maybe Ryan Dinwiddie can squeeze the best out of them. And Dinwiddie has obviously praised them. I mean, they worked together for a while in Toronto too. So there is that connection there. So yeah, actually, I wouldn't be surprised if if McLeod Bethel Thompson is out there for the Red Blacks on Sunday. But either way, Jake Mayer, McLeod Bethel Thompson, at this point, it kind of just feels like if you're the Red Blacks, it's like, okay, let's pick our own poison here, because either way, I don't think they're in great shape with either one of those guys.
You know, it's funny. It was a couple of weeks ago that Hammer and I were doing CFL 110, and you know, kind of the story was, wait a second, is the East now sort of taking a step forward as, you know, kind of the, you know, where the top teams are? Montreal, at the time Hamilton, the start Toronto has had. We're sort of getting back to normal, it seems. Now, credit to Montreal. They had that big win against Calgary. Those teams go back-to-back in a home and home on the weekend. So we'll see whether Calgary can make that 1-1. But the Riders at 4-1 after just a walkover on Hamilton last night. Edmonton took care of Ottawa. They're both 4-1. Huge game, a huge win for the Bombers to put a little bit of space between them and the BC Lions and take advantage of that loss by Calgary, who now sit at 2-3. But it does seem like I would be shocked if the BC Lions don't find their way right into the thick of things by the end of this season, which kind of makes for a great setup. That every game is so important, Taylor. And this race between all five of these teams, I think, is going to be changing week to week. And it makes the importance, I mean, there's no days off, no weeks off in the West, because I mean, you could have a team finish fifth in the West that you can make an argument that probably should be in the playoffs on the other side, but that's not the way it works.
Yeah, I jinxed it too. I think I might have said even on this show a few weeks ago how much fun I was having following the East this year. I mean, with Bo Levi and Hamilton, and of course, Davis Alexander in Montreal, and in Toronto, you know, doing so well in offense. So it's like, okay, like there's some fun stuff going on in the East, but now you could basically probably hand the Alouettes the East Division crown on a silver platter right now. So that's a kind of a shame. But yeah, in the West, I mean, my goodness, I mean, yeah, I agree. Like, I would not write the BC Lions off just yet. I mean, this was kind of their story last year too. They kind of stumbled out of the gates, and then they became the best team in football, or arguably one of the best teams of football down the stretch, and they made things very interesting, of course. And Saskatchewan, you know, they look like reigning Grey Cup champs, and you know, Edmonton, you know, they've been probably the best story in the league this year after so many dismal years by them. To see them back month is really good, really cool, and good for the CFL too, of course. But yeah, I mean, if the Bombers lost on Friday, I mean, you can bounce back from 2-3, wouldn't be the end of the world. But how much confidence would people have in a team who would have lost their first 3 home games? I mean, this Bombers team, what has made them so good this past decade or so is how good they've been at Princess Auto Stadium. They get the job done when they're at home. They send their fans home happy, right? And, you know, those first 2 games at home, it's like, that just did not look like Blue Bombers football. So I know all the CFL, you know, .ca writers or whatever, I'll pick the Toronto to win and stuff. But going into Friday, I was like, I don't know. I know Drew Brown's playing and whatever, but like, I just can't see the Bombers somehow losing all 3 games at home, and rightfully so. They you know, they kind of prove people like, hey, okay, we still got some flashes of what we used to be. So yeah, the West, you know, as expected. I mean, heading into this year, I think everyone knew that the West was going to be as entertaining as it gets, but so far it certainly has lived up to the hype, and I think it might even exceed that as we move forward as well. So
just to confirm, that will count as a home win for the Bombers?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question, Huss. I mean, people are saying, well, you know, that's technically an Argos home game and stuff, but the league said that, you know, for statistical and historical purposes, they are counting that as a Bombers home game. So I'm going to actually reach out to them again today just to fully 1,000% clarify, because I heard some people say, well, the sellout streak's still going because technically, you know, that was an Argos home game on Friday. But it's like, I don't know. I don't think you even want to tout that. Like, yeah, we'll you know, we'll ignore that one, and yeah, our sellout streak's still going strong. Like, you know, like, I don't think you even want to go down that road. But yeah, I'm going to clarify with the league a second time. Just
I mean, I can tell you, looking, I mean, pulling up the standings at CFL.ca, the Bombers are now 1-2 at home. And,
okay, there you go.
That's
so
the only game they won there. And right now, the Argonauts are 2-3 on the road, which is their record. BC, however, with the games in Kelowna, those were counted as home games. They're 1-1 at home, 0-2 on the road, and they're going back up against Edmonton. This time in Edmonton after getting their first win of the year in Kelowna. That'll be a really interesting game. BC's really had Edmonton's number, Nathan Rourke in particular, sort of the opposite of what's happened when Nathan Rourke's gone up against the Bombers. So a big game in the West this week. But for the Bombers, they'll get back to practice and get ready for a Sunday night game to finish off the weekend in the nation's capital against Drew Brown's former team. I know, Taylor, you'll be on the beat all week long, and we'll get a pretty good idea, I imagine, in the first couple days of practice, whether this is going to be the Drew Brown revenge game or whether Drew Brown is the backup and Zach is back leading the offense.
Yeah, for sure. And either way, though, I mean, if you're the Bombers, you're coming off of back-to-back wins, but you're going on the road against an 0-5 winless Red Blacks team. I mean, you can't be the team that lets Ottawa get their first win. I don't care who's under center in Ottawa. The Bombers cannot take them lightly. They need to full on, take advantage of this opportunity and improve to 4-2. I mean, this team, they're 3-2, right? I think you can kind of live with that after 5 games. But I mean, I think there still is a lot of questions about this Winnipeg team and what exactly they're made of. So if they go into Ottawa and it's a stinker of a game where they even, just barely squeak one out, I think that'd be pretty discouraging. But we'll see. There's never a dull moment in the CFL.
No doubt. Taylor, good stuff. Awesome night on Friday at Princess Auto Stadium. Already looking forward to that next home game, Friday, January 24th against Calgary. But in the meantime, a trip out to Ottawa. We'll stay on top of it all week long and look forward to your reporting in the Winnipeg Free Press. Thanks for doing this, as always.
Yeah, you bet, guys. Thanks for having
me. All right, great stuff with Taylor. We're going to dive into some Jet stuff with Mike McIntyre coming up right away. Man, Princess Auto was rocking stadium, that is, on the weekend. The new Princess Auto flagship store has been rocking every day since it opened a few weeks ago. We'll be back at the stadium a week Friday for the Bombers in Calgary. In the meantime, make sure, if you haven't already, to head down to your local Princess Auto and check out the new flagship store at 500 Panet Road. Whereas Princess Auto is where you'll find the best deals on the most unique assortment of tools and equipment around. Everything you need to complete the project on your list or start something new is at Princess Auto. Bigger, better than ever before at the new flagship store. Get down and check it out. And of course, you can always shop online 24/7, 365 at princessauto.com. I hope the Derminator and the gang up in Gimli are keeping cool. It'd be nice to be living in Gimli because you could just jump in the lake whenever you need to. And speaking of that lake, it's hot outside right now. The summer's here. Boating, traveling with RVs, or getting out on the roads. It all starts at Chud's Power Sports, Manitoba's power sports superstore. For over 80 years, pop up and see them at the corner of Highway 8 and 231 in Gimli. They have the best selection and deals on literally everything you need to dominate summer. We're talking motorcycles. We're talking dirt bikes, ATVs, side-by-sides, not to mention golf carts, and boats and outboard motors, recreational vehicles as well. Incredible financing options, the most experienced customer service staff you will find anywhere with like 140 years of experience. And also great clearance deals over at their True North Parts site, which you can access through their website at chudspowersports.com on clearance gear and accessories. Great supporters of ours, the Chud's Power Sports Power Poles on WST. So if you're in the market for new or used vehicles when it comes to power sports, there's only one place to go. It's Chud's up in Gimli, chudspowersports.com. on the corner of Highway 8 and 231. Big shout out to our friends at St. Vital Dental Center, Dr. Terry and the gang, taking care of all of our grills. If you're looking for a great dental clinic with an incredible reputation, handling generations of Winnipeggers and Manitobans, St. Vital Dental Center is the spot for you. Loyal WST or Dr. Terry running the ship there with an unbelievable staff and a beautiful new facility at 167 St. Anne's with convenient free parking right behind the building. And of course, they'll handle clients from 6 months to 99 plus with everything you'd need from a dental clinic, from cleanings and checkups, to things like dental implants. They do it all. So for all your dental needs, for you and your family, make it St. Vital Dental Center. Hit them up online at stvitaldental.ca, make an appointment, and tell them that the boys at Winnipeg Sports Talk sent you. And, man, it's sad. We've only got, 4 games left of the World Cup, including the third place game. It's going to get great, though. Tomorrow, first semifinal, Spain and France. Wednesday afternoon, the second semifinal, England and Argentina. Boston Pizza is your World Cup headquarters, with the game on the big screens with big sound, prize giveaways for each game. And might I say, especially at the Taylor location, but I'm sure all of them, incredible air conditioning. So Boston Pizza, place to be for the game tomorrow. And hey, if you are staying at home in your AC, you can get it hot and fresh to your door by ordering online at bostonpizza.com. All right, let's get Mike McIntyre in here to fire it up. Mike, what's going on? Did you survive the weekend?
I did, Huss, but I actually spent yesterday down at a very toasty Blue Cross Park.
That's why I asked.
Yeah, so I know you've been in the press box there. There's not a whole lot of air movement, even when they have the windows open. You got that overhang canopy. It got a little stuffy in there. Kudos to, I don't know who it was. Somebody brought a giant industrial fan. And so the air, we had some artificial air going. I suggested that they name that piece of equipment the fan of the game, Huss, which elicited a lot of groans in the press box.
So bad.
Bravo to the nearly 3,000 brave souls who were at the ballpark for what was a heck of a baseball game. Actually, the whole weekend I was there Friday night as well. Gold Eyes are clicking at the right time here. But you know, if you looked at the stands, you would have thought there was maybe 500 people at the game, because about 2,500 of the 3,000 were hiding under the or in the concourse or in the shade. But yeah, it was steamy out, no question about it. Hey, we complain all winter about how cold it gets. Obviously, you know, you think of the people that are vulnerable out there, and this heat is nothing to joke about. But we don't mind a little heat on the prairies. It's gonna be fall and then winter soon enough around here, and we can go back to griping about the wind chill.
Yeah, amen to that. I mean, as much as it sometimes is a bit of a slog right now, and if you don't have AC, I had a friend that was in Europe that came back last night at about midnight, and they live in the kind of Corden area. It's a bit of an older house, and I don't think it has AC. I'm like, dude, you are going to get back. Just beware. That's just all I have to say. I don't know what the upstairs of a house that had just basically been like a greenhouse for 5 weeks had been, but
oh boy,
anyways, I digress. Yeah, Fish are playing some great baseball. They're on a 4-game winning streak, and I'm sure they probably wish could hold off the All-Star break a little bit and keep it rolling, but they are off for the next 4 days for the All-Star break. Then they hit the road. Gold Eyes are back not until the 24th, so a week Friday with the weekend series against Fargo Moorhead. And then in August, we start getting some more weekday games, which is nice because they basically didn't play at the ballpark during the week at all in July, really since we had that, since the Canada Day week at our game. But lots of weekday action coming up in the next month. Listen, we want to get to the Jets, and we'll talk Hellebuck in a minute, but first things first, the Viggo Björck era is officially on. He's signed. He's wearing number 61. Greg at Royal Sports just texted me. They have just made their first Viggo Björck jersey complete with the umlaut. So if you want to be the first Viggo Björck jersey owner, get to Royal Sports. They'll do it up for you. A lot of excitement about this young man. And we knew on the weekend when Djurgarden, his old team, bid him farewell, that this was all but a certainty, Mike. But I mean, this isn't just a rookie saying, okay, I'm going to be going to North America and I've signed my contract. This is a young man that comes in with a great pedigree, with high hopes and expectations, but more opportunity, it would seem, ahead of him as a youngster than we've really seen for any player outside of Patrik Laine in Jets history, 2.0.
Yeah, I mean, there's some, they're very different players, of course, but no question this is Winnipeg's most exciting prospect since Patrik Laine, and he's going to get the Patrik Laine treatment, which, would certainly appear to be a path directly to the NHL as an 18-year-old. There was one other player in between Huss that kind of got a similar path. That would be one Ville Heinola, who you'll recall as an 18-year-old made the Jets out of camp. But it wasn't too long before he was down to the Moose and then back to Europe. That's not going to be the case. Certainly the Europe part of things will not be the case here with Viggo. He's coming to Winnipeg to stay. And, we've reported, we've been talking about this Huss for really ever since they drafted him. And I know some people were skeptical that the Jets were going to give him, a legitimate opportunity. They're going to bend over backwards to not only have him on the starting, in the starting lineup this season when opening night rolls around, but to give him as much runway as possible. This is not a player that, at least internally, that the Winnipeg Jets view as needing American Hockey League seasoning. Could that happen at some point in the year? Sure. Would that be a disaster? Absolutely not. Let's not forget this kid's 18. Even if he were to go down at some point for a little bit of seasoning with the Moose, this is a guy who he's light years ahead of almost everybody else that would have been drafted in this draft class, who are still going to be in junior, in college. I don't know why my camera is, it's got a mind of his own. It's like
the dog was playing with it.
Oh, it sees something and it's like got a little remote control on it, I guess. But yeah, look, almost every player that just got drafted this summer is not playing a single game in the NHL this coming season. Viggo will be one of maybe 3 or 4, 5. So that already suggests that he's a pretty special player. There is, huge expectations, but I'll say this about Viggo, and we obviously got to see him and talk to him at development camp a couple weeks ago. He's got the perfect attitude for this, right? Like he did not come here expecting anything. And, even when it was presented to him that Kevin Cheveldayoff said, you're absolutely a center, you're going to play center. Even that, he sort of was quick to say, well, I'll play wherever I have to, whatever everyone feels is best. He's got the perfect attitude. And yeah, I mean, Viggo Mania is going to be running well. I'll be stunned, Huss, if that jersey you just mentioned hasn't already been sold, and a few others. I got to think, just given the way I saw fans flock to him down at the Hockey for All Center during development camp, he's an instant fan favorite, no question about it. And I think once people, if they haven't already, once people see the way he plays, people are going to be head over heels for him.
Hey, Reem, for folks that maybe don't have social media, why don't you get up that the post just of him kind of greeting Jet fans in a minute? Hey, shout out to Brent Bellamy. What's up, Brent? Brent says Viggo doesn't put an umlaut on his jersey name. In the past, I don't think he has, but the Jets just put out his jersey with it on, so I would assume that based on first glance, that's the way it'll look. There you go. There you can see the little Motley Crue umlaut above.
He had it at development camp as well on his name bar, which was a nice touch. Yeah.
All right. Cool. Okay. Well, listen, we're just gonna get that queued up while Remis gets that ready. I do want to mention that this segment's brought to you by the Prairie Toyota dealers and the Toyota Tacoma. With the standard iForce engine boasting an impressive towing capacity of up to 6,400 pounds, it's the most powerful Tacoma ever. So whether you're hauling gear to the rink or heading to an away game, you can tackle it with ease. And when it's time to load up, the available power liftgate makes loading your gear in and out a cinch. Experience power, capability, and convenience with the Toyota Tacoma. And now you can lease a 26 Tacoma from $110 weekly at 5.69% APR for 60 months with $70.99 down at your local Prairie Toyota dealers. All right, here's Viggo signing his deal with a message for the fans of the Winnipeg Jets here in the Peg and around the world.
Hey everyone, it's Viggo Björck here. I'm super excited to have signed my first NHL contract, and I'm looking forward to getting to Winnipeg in September. See you guys then. Hey everyone, it's Viggo Björck here.
All right. Nice little quick greeting from the kid. And, Mike, as I said, you kind of mentioned the borderline hysteria around Viggo Bjorck. And listen, it's the total package because, we've talked about him as a player, as a draftee, but now that he's been selected by the Jets and you hear a couple of interviews with him and a little bit more, this is a really easy guy to cheer for as well. I mean, if what has been predicted for him as an NHLer continues, we could see a love affair with this young man that could last a long time here in Winnipeg.
Yeah, no question. And, some people may say, well, like he's 18 and he's 5'9". What makes the Jets, what makes anybody certain that he can jump to the NHL right away? And of course, there are no guarantees, that he's going to jump right in and immediately have success. But let's not forget, where this player is coming from and, what he's been doing. This is not an 18-year-old that's been playing in the dub, for example, or the USHL or even the NCAA. He's been playing in a top Swedish men's league and more than holding his own, certainly in terms of his production, but maybe most importantly, physically, positionally. And, if there were any doubts, I suppose, about his ability to handle bigger, stronger, more experienced pro hockey players, I imagine that the World Championships in May went a long way to quieting, I guess, those concerns. And, when you had him out there against the likes of Sidney Crosby, for example, and, Sid the Kid couldn't help but rave about Viggo after going head to head with him, where Viggo absolutely, held his own in the dot, was an absolute dog on a bone when it came to puck retrievals. And look, we just saw that. Granted, it was against other prospects last week at development camp, but you just see the processing in real time that Viggo has to, what to do, how to read plays, and, certainly the nonstop motor. Are there going to be some guys in the NHL that are going to try and run him through the boards because they see an undersized, rookie center? I'm sure that's going to happen. And he may have some welcome to the NHL moments like any rookie, but I think there's a real confidence given his overall body of work and his experience to date that he's a special talent. And, certainly there will be people that say, are the Jets rushing him out of an organizational urgency? If they had the 2C position already secured with, a bona fide second line center, if the top 6 or even the top 9 was pretty crowded, I guess like let's flash back to 2018, for example, and what the Jets had on their roster then. Would there be room for him? And the answer is probably not. He'd probably be slow played a little more. But the reality is this is an organization that has some holes, that has some needs. And Huss, it's also an organization that's taken, and I say it's warranted in a lot of cases, a lot of criticism for how they've slow played young players and prospects. So here's an example now where they're going to fast track this guy. But I do think they're going to still be careful with him. I mean, they don't want to ruin a guy's, career by rushing him. And that's why, the AHL certainly would be an option. But I think clearly all the conversations around him, with family, with advisors, I think they've reached the right conclusion, which is him staying in Sweden for another year would have accomplished very little in terms of his development. Winnipeg is the place to be right here, right now.
Yeah, and listen, he's going to be the talk of the town when we get to training camp. All eyes will be on number 61 in the exhibition season and when the season begins, and you'll hope that he'll be able to come and just continue doing what he did against men, playing with that level of confidence, learning the way. I mean, listen, there is going to be, and it's important for everyone to know, and everyone that's been pounding the table, play the kids. That does come. He played against men. There'll be some hard lessons to be learned in the National Hockey League, sure. But right now, to your point, without other options, knowing that he's also the long-term plan there, or potentially at some point, presumably on the top line, he's shown enough to warrant the opportunity now. And if what he's done before playing against men and the way he's consistently risen through every locker room and every team so quickly to the top spot, it behooves the Jets, I think, to do that, both their situation and the fact that he's earned that.
Can I throw one thing? It's July 13th, so maybe it's a little early to be talking about potential line combos. There's only 4 preseason games. I believe vets can only play in 2 of them. So that means guys like Scheifele and Connor are only going to play 2 preseason games. We already know what Scheifele and Connor look like. Can I just throw it out here, Huss? Here on July 13th, not only would I love to see, I'm predicting, even if it's for a period, hopefully it would be for a full game. I'm predicting we see Viggo Bjorck and Kyle Connor at some point, just to see what that looks like. And I'm not saying that would stick for the season. I know there'd be a parade in some corners around here if Scheifele and Connor were to be.
I'm going to say about that.
55 can play with Cole Perfetti and maybe Gabe Vilardi. I look, that the preseason.
Are you familiar with how this operation works, Mike?
Hey, there's a new sheriff in town. His name is Viggo Bjorck.
Yeah,
I'm not.
Pump the brakes a bit.
No, I'm just saying, like, and yes, there's a way shorter runway this year for experimentation. It's kind of too bad. If you had, look, I'm not advocating for a longer preseason, but if you had the 6 games or 7 as they played in the past, you could do a little more tinkering here and there. I just think it would be worth a look. I really do. Like, again, based on what I saw at development camp, based on what I've seen, Viggo Bjorck is a heck of a puck distributor. And, Kyle Connor is a great sniper who can do a lot of things as well. But, he's a pure sniper. And I just would like to see what that looks like, because look, if we're gonna accept that it's Scheifele, Connor, and I guess Vilardi again, like, what does that leave as we look at the roster today? Now, yes, a Connor Hellebuyck trade, maybe that brings something else, but like, who's playing? Is it Perfetti, Bjork, and what? Roseanne, Lambert? There's not a lot of size at all on that line, or experience. Is it Iafallo, Nemestikov, Niederreiter, Barron? I wouldn't totally be opposed to Morgan Barron getting a look as a winger. Talk about size and speed, and maybe a nice compliment to a guy like Bjork as well. But look, there's going to be lots of combinations.
Here, I'll counter this. This is the way I see it happening. Connor and Scheifele aren't splitting apart. But I do think that they will want to surround this kid with NHL talent. So I think it's actually Vilardi. And Vilardi's a bigger guy, great on battles, can get the puck and do a lot of what he's done with Mark and Kyle with Viggo Bjorck. Now, the question is what happens? Like, Alex Iafallo's been able to hang there. I mean, I think that the second part of the piece, and we'll get to this to the minute, is what happens with Hellebuyck. Because if Hellebuyck is traded, there will be a player that fits into the top 6 coming back. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Yes.
So, like, say they do a deal with Jack Quinn or something like that. Maybe he is the one that's playing there. I mean, maybe Cole Perfetti gets a little bit of a taste with those guys. And then you've got, like, a Quinn and Vilardi playing with Viggo Bjorck. Like, if the center doesn't come back, it will be a winger. And those are probably easier to acquire. So I wouldn't be surprised if it's Gabe as the guy that was going up and down last year is the one that maybe sort of they try and get that 1-2, and then you're looking for who's the other guy with Scheifele and Connor, who's the other guy with Bjork and Vilardi, and obviously Perfetti's a big part of that equation.
Well, and that's why it's tough to talk about the forwards, again, here on July 13th, because Huss, I really feel like one way or the other, there's still a move that's going to happen when it comes to the forward group. I think we can all agree the blue line is set. Mario Ferraro, he was the big ad. The blue line's done. I do think there will be an addition to the top 6, and it's either going to come via a Connor Hellebuyck trade, which I think is the most likely scenario, or via a free agent signing. And, isn't it bizarre, Huss? We are now nearly 2 weeks removed from July 1, and there's still guys like Anthony Mantha out there, who was the top goal scorer of the UFA forward bunch. And when a guy is still out there this much into free agency, like, it tells me one of two things. Either he's completely misread the market and is going to have to severely diminish his ask for a contract, or there is maybe a deal to be made out there. It just can't be made at this point because a team or teams are waiting to see how some other pieces fall into place, whether it's via trades or whatnot. So I'm just saying, like, if the Jets don't get a top 6 if the Jets don't move Hellebuyck, or they do move Hellebuyck, but for some inexplicable reason, they don't get a top 6 forward back. And again, I can't see that being the case, but if it was, they better look to address some needs, via whatever's left, either free agency or other trade routes. And that's why, again, as we talk today about potential line combos, I do feel like there's another shoe, to fall here that we're just waiting on.
Well, one of the shoes that does need to fall is a contract for Cole Perfetti. And we've got an arbitration date. It's the 20th of July. So that's a week to get something done. Mike, I don't know whether you've been digging around or seeing where things are at. I mean, this is not at all strange. This happens every single year. Okay, here's our finality. I don't think there's any way Perfetti's people want to go to arbitration. I don't think the Jets would either. Are we going to see a long-term deal for Cole Perfetti with the Winnipeg Jets?
I do think we will. Now, what's long-term now? A lot of these long-term deals when it comes to younger players are like 5 years, right? To allow, and maybe that's the sweet
5 or more. Over under 4.5 years on the deal.
Over, but I don't think we're going to see 7, for example. Like, because I think players are loath to maybe, especially when you look at Perfetti's situation. Like, we know the potential. We certainly saw way more glimpses of it the year before this past one, and Cole Perfetti doesn't need me to be making excuses for him, but he was never 100% at all at any point last year. The closest he got to it was obviously near the end of the year when he looked a lot more like the Cole Perfetti we expect. I'm expecting big things from Cole Perfetti on the ice this year. You've already touched on it, Huss. maybe he gets a look on the top line. I think the Jets have every reason to want Cole Perfetti. They need Cole Perfetti to be the best version of himself.
Sign him to a long-term deal and say, now it's your time on the top line. Go out there and get 75 or 80 points. Wouldn't that be?
But we're seeing, look at the Zach Benson deal today, Huss. There's a guy, and Cole Perfetti's more accomplished than Zach Benson, and you're seeing teams. Yeah, I think so. I mean, Zach Benson is kind of a bottom six. Sorry, Peyton Krebs I'm talking about, not Zach Benson.
I was just about to say.
Yeah, sorry, I've got my Buffalo sign. Peyton Krebs, another member of the Ice. Peyton Krebs, who just signed today and avoided arbitration. Sorry, he's not more accomplished. Zach Benson is very accomplished for sure. But no, Peyton Krebs. And so you're seeing teams what did Krebs get today? 4.5?
4 at 4.5.
Yeah. And I mean, he's a bottom sixer. There's a lot of arguments to be made that he's kind of a replacement level bottom sixer. I like Peyton Krebs, but you're seeing teams more than ever. And this is because of the increased cap, no question. Be, I guess, less gun shy about pulling the trigger on a long-term extension for a player, because you're kind of buying the potential, and you have the wiggle room financially. So yeah, I do think a deal gets done. I agree with you, Huss. There's no way this gets to arbitration. And in some ways, maybe it's a good thing that for folks who didn't see the list that came out yesterday, Puckpedia had it first. The Jets and Perfetti are number one on the list. They are first up. They're batting out of the leadoff spot. There's some arbitration, I think, that goes as far as August the 1st. So what this does is guarantee that this doesn't drag out really at all into the summer, or much into the summer. There's going to be finality one way or the other. I fully expect a long-term contract to be reached. I'd be surprised if it's not by the end of this week, Huss. I guess it could drag into the weekend. I guess it could drag even into Monday morning. We've seen that happen. But yeah, I don't think people need to be hitting the panic button here. Just look at last year alone. The Jets had 3 arbitration cases, Velarde, Sandberg, and Barron, and they all settled before the need for a hearing. And I suspect that's what's going to happen here. It's just a matter of when, not if.
Mike McIntyre, the Winnipeg Free Press, with us here. So we've managed to go 20 minutes or so without talking about Hellebuyck, which great on us. You dropped the bit in your mailbag that you think it's 95%.
Yes.
Didn't have as hot a take as me with 100%. It is 100. The question is, put it this way. He's getting traded. I'm not telling you when he's getting traded. When he's getting traded is when a team ponies up and gives the price that Kevin Cheveldayoff wants. That could be a year. That could be 2 years. I don't think Hellebuyck's retiring as a Jet. I don't get the feeling that it is impending, but it certainly sounds like there is still irons in the fire, and it all keeps coming back to Buffalo. First thing, I fire up my Instagram this morning. The first thing that came up, firing into my Instagram, my algorithm, was an account I don't follow, a Buffalo sports talk station, WGR 550, and they were talking about this 95% number. They were going in and going back and forth on it. Are you of the mind that there are things that are happening right now that could push this across the finish line? Or is this the time where the GMs are going to the lake and texting, yeah, you change your mind yet? You change your mind yet? And then in the last week in August, they kind of say, okay, are we doing this or not?
No, I think it's far from on the back burner at this point. I think it's still very much on the front burner. Now, obviously for Kevin Cheveldayoff, Viggo Bjorck, not that was a complicated negotiation. I think Cole Perfetti obviously takes precedence this week. But no, I think because because of the magnitude of the player we're talking about, because of the trickle down effect, because of the potential return, and wanting a little more certainty about your roster construction and whether, free agency is something you need to go revisit this summer or not. I do think it's something that's still very much on the front burner. The other thing I think, Huss, is that, we may hear just about Buffalo, for example, and certainly there's a lot of noise out of that market. I know there's some Buffalo fans who seem to think that, they have Kevin Shoveldayoff over a barrel here. I'm not sure why anyone thinks that. Again, this is a player who's signed for 5 more years. And what are Connor Hellebuck's options? Is he going to hold out? Is he going to not show up to work and forfeit almost $9 million? I don't think so. Now, do the Jets want a disgruntled player? Look, we can probably all relate to a situation in our life where we've had to work with a disgruntled colleague or coworker, and that's not a lot of fun. And I don't imagine it's fun when you play, in a team first sport like hockey. So this has become a distraction, no question. One that I'm sure the Jets would like to remedy sooner than later. But make no mistake, Kevin Shoveldayoff doesn't have a gun to his head here, nor is he going to rush into anything foolish. That being said, I do believe, Huss, that there's a more robust market than maybe has been reported out there, or maybe most believe. Like, I don't think this is Buffalo or bust for the Jets when it comes to making a deal. And I think there are other teams. Now, have they presented an offer that blows the doors off Kevin Shoveldayoff's office? Clearly not. But I do think this is still very much in the discussion stage. And at some point this summer, it's going to really kick into high gear. Because I think I think everybody would like to get some finality to this. And, for people who wonder, like, where does my confidence in this come from? Again, I just go back. I'm a big believer in kind of, reading the tea leaves and looking at the signs. And everything that happened July 1st regarding Winnipeg's goaltending situation, I think told you what you need to know. Ray Petkow did not direct Stuart Skinner to sign with the Jets, believing that Connor Hellebuck was going to be blocking, his client Connor Hellebuck was going to be blocking his client Stuart Skinner's path to a great opportunity. Nor did the fact the Jets didn't re-sign Eric Comrie. That was a tell right there, because if Hellebuck was coming back this fall, it was pretty much a given that he would have the backup of his choice, which is Eric Comrie. You think Connor Hellebuck wants to work in tandem with Stuart Skinner? Does anyone really believe that's the plan for the Jets? Of course it isn't. He is getting traded. As you say, it doesn't have to happen immediately. I do believe it happens before the season starts, Huss. But that's going to be incumbent on whether it's Buffalo or another team, ponying up the kind of offer that Kevin Shoveldayoff can't say no to. I do think, though, at some point, he may have to reach a point where he surveys the landscape. Okay, what is the best deal I can get? And maybe he ultimately has to take it, because I'll say this, and you can disagree with me, Connor Hellebuck's trade value is probably never going to be higher than it is right now. It's been higher in the past, yes, obviously after his Hart Trophy season, but the Jets weren't trading Connor Hellebuck a year ago. He's 33, so he's not getting younger. Every year older he gets, every year less on his contract. I'd say his value starts to, it's like a car. Well, the value starts to depreciate.
Well, okay, I'll disagree just on one part of it. Here's how his value could be increased. They don't get the offer. They say, Connor, listen, you're just going to have to play, and we'll let you know when things happen. And the second week of November, Markstrom blows his knee out, and he's out for the year. Or injury at that position can absolutely jack up the demand and the urgency for some other teams. So there's some things that are out of anyone's control that absolutely can do that. Now, the value could also go down. Like if all of a sudden he comes in and he's in a snit and not handling it very well and goes out and gets lit up a few games, and the people are like, well, wait a second, what are we doing? Like, I still think the body of work, like that would have to go on for a long time for teams to be like, okay, no, this is damage goods or anything like that. But the one thing I keep coming back to, though, is that there really isn't any gun to his head. Like Perfetti's deal's getting done because there's a deadline. The PLD deadline, the deal got done because there was a deadline. All that. There isn't a deadline for that. Well, the deadline is in 5 years, which is a long ways away. So, like, for anyone in Buffalo or anywhere else to think, just wait this out, the Jets are going to be forced to do it. Think again. Like, they would way rather come back and try and, work this out with Connor, or say, hey, listen, we're still going to do our best to do this, but you know our position on this. Come in, be a good teammate, go win us some games, keep your value high, and hopefully we'll get you to a place that works for you and works for us. But,
of course,
there's like an arbitration date going that if this doesn't get done, everything blows up.
And this would be the 5% of why I didn't say 100%. I guess the 5% that he doesn't get traded, Huss, is to the point you just made. Let's say training camp rolls around. They don't like the offers. They don't do a deal. The season starts. Connor Hellebuyck plays great. In fact, he plays so great that the Jets start winning a whole bunch of games. And the Jets look more like the Jets of 2 years ago rather than last year's Jets. And all of a sudden, Connor Hellebuyck's desire to play for a contender happens to be on the very team he's still a member of.
See, for the record, I don't believe that for a second. Like, I mean, I know that's the party line, but listen, if it's all about going to a team that's ready to win the Stanley Cup, I'm not hearing about, Pagnotta on the weekend. He wants to go to Buffalo. Give me a break. Like, I love Buffalo. Everyone that listened to this show, that was kind of my team outside the Jets. When the playoffs started, that was the team I was cheering for. We talked about them every day. Love the team, love what they've done. It was a great story this year. But please spare me that the Buffalo Sabres are on the verge, are right there from winning the Stanley Cup. No, if you're accepting a trade to the Buffalo Sabres right now, you want to get out of where you are. And in this case, I firmly believe that he wants to get south of the border. And listen, it makes a lot of sense. This guy is an Olympic American hockey hero. The rest of the guys on his team were celebrated as.
Yeah, they were lauded for their accomplishment in a major way south of the border, for sure. I think we lost your audio here, Huss.
Okay, how about am I back, Remis?
There you go. Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I was the take was so hot it fried my
On the microphone.
But listen, this is a guy that not only had like the greatest moments of his life, notoriety and star power beyond anything close that he's ever had, and then got back to Winnipeg, had to deal with some stuff that some people think it was legit. I personally don't, but whatever. It was a very different atmosphere he was coming back to as Olympic champion and Presidential Medal of Freedom winner in Winnipeg than it was south of the border. So, I mean, from that side of things, I get it. And I mean, then there's the marketability of him.
That's huge.
And this is what I really think. Like, it's his agent, it's people around him. Like, why do you think that he started an Instagram account? You think Connor Hellebuyck was able to say, you know what? I got to get on Instagram. How have I not been there before? No, it's his team working with his wife. Listen, Andrea, if you would, just snap a couple pics of Hellebuyck fishing and we'll throw this up to try to get that. Because, I mean, listen, that has value. That can help you with marketing deals, all those sorts of things. So, listen, he can say that this is all just about winning. I call bullshit. And I think there's a lot more to it, basically, to that. Now, I don't think he wants to go to some garbage team just because they're in the States either. Yeah. But listen, I think, like, all about reading the tea leaves, if he's fully green-lit on going to the Buffalo Sabres, with all due respect to the Sabres, a good up-and-coming team, but I mean, I don't think that this is a team that anyone is putting like in the top half dozen teams to win the Stanley Cup next year. And
further to your point, Huss, and this aligns with what I've heard, which is that, you know, and when I say there may be a more robust market than has kind of been reported on, I think part of that is because, and to Connor Hellebuck's credit, he has not hamstrung Kevin Cheveldayoff the way Dylan Larkin, for example, has hamstrung Stevie Y in Detroit, where he said, basically, get me to one of these two teams or else. And I don't believe Connor Hellebuck has done that. I actually think Hellebuck has told the Jets that, you know, basically go out, see what offers you can get. And he would consider just about anything. And, you know, that his list of teams he'd be willing to go to may be a very large one. One thing I think his list would have in common, Huss, which is why you're bang on, is that they all have zip codes, not postal codes. And so you're right. It's now that would be an interesting plot twist, though, right? Like if his whole, at least publicly, if this is all spun as I want to go to a winner, and his frustration with the Jets not being competitive this past year, if he's still a member of the Jets and this season begins and all of a sudden the Jets look competitive again, how do they now spin that publicly? Does he just come out and say, well, it's all about wanting to go to the U.S.?
You know, like after the fact, everyone will say the right things because it'll be done and we'll all move on. But like T. Will said, I don't think going to an American team is the primary thrust. I'll tell you what, I mean, the Montreal Canadiens, I think you would put them up in that upper echelon. They were the youngest team. They'd win as far as they did last year. The Edmonton Oilers have two of the top 5 players in the world. I don't think he's saying I'm in for either of those teams.
Right.
So, and I mean, like, we haven't even heard anything. And like, is there a team on planet Earth that could use Connor Hellebuck more than the Edmonton Oilers?
No.
The answer to that question is no.
No.
So anyways, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, we're going to hopefully get Marty on from Buffalo a little bit later on. But I mean, listen, it is what it is. And I honestly, I don't begrudge. I know people saying like I'm really hot and not impressed with Hellebuck. I actually get it more in this circumstance. Like, it's probably better for him, his family, certainly all of his marketability moving forward. And you know, and I think that this can be a win-win for both sides if it's done properly and Chevy gets the price that he's looking for. At least a win for Hellebuck, going to a place where his values sort of, you know, he's maybe closer to home. He's playing in the States where a lot of what he's earned as a member of Team USA will actually be appreciated, as opposed to here where we logically don't really want to talk about it. I mean,
you're right, Huss. This could be, it may not look like it right now, but this could end up being a blessing in disguise for a Jets team that we know they were never going to entertain a full-blown tear-down rebuild. But trading Connor Hellebuck, again, if the return is a good one, that certainly creates the potential for a retooling on the fly. And you know, it might be a temporary step back. Obviously, Connor Hellebuck is an elite player at his position. We've also seen, though, that, you know, the way the NHL is trending, teams are winning Stanley Cups now. You know, Brandon Bussie was on waivers when last season began, and he was the guy in net at the end of the Stanley Cup final, raising his arms in the air because they just won. Like, I'm not saying that is the preferred way to go over a Vezina, 3-time Vezina and Hart Trophy winner, but we certainly know that there are multiple ways to win, and you don't necessarily need the best player, the best goaltender on the planet, because look, what has it got the Jets to date? Clearly not enough, which is why we're talking about this largely. So yeah, I mean, this could end up being, it maybe doesn't look or feel like it right now, but a Connor Hellebuck trade, in hindsight, could end up being a very good thing for the Winnipeg Jets.
Well, and the job of Kevin Cheveldayoff is to make sure that it is. They
Right.
don't really, they didn't want to do this. They've sort of been pushed into it, but it is going to happen at some point one way. I mean, unless Helly does a complete 180 and gets back to his headspace where he was when he signed the contract. And I guess my 100% should be 99 because I guess maybe there's a 1% chance that happens. I mean, I did think that Mark Scheifele was as good as gone, more so than this 3 years ago. And then whatever happened, he signed an 8-year extension. So we'll see. But there is the other shoe to drop because I think with what they haven't done yet in adding another player, now maybe they couldn't be able to get him. That wouldn't be the first time in free agency. But I think there is an expectation that there is another move that's going to be made. That's probably it. And that answers some of the questions that we have in the top 6. Mike, this was an awesome convo. Went a little longer than normal, but
good.
Listen, the people seem to be enjoying it. I certainly did. Stay cool, my friend. Thanks for doing this, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Have a great week, Huss. Take care.
All right, there's Mike McIntyre. You can check out his newsletter from the weekend where he talked a little bit about that. And, of course, all the coverage coming up on in the pages of the Winnipeg Free Press. All right, hey, we mentioned this a little earlier today when we were talking about Viggo Bjorck signing with the Winnipeg Jets, but we have confirmation. Royal Sports has made their first Viggo Bjorck 61 jersey. I imagine they're going to be making a few this afternoon. So if you want to roll around town, being one of the first people with a 61 Bjork, head down to Royal Sports, Winnipeg's sports superstore for over 50 years. While you're there, great World Cup merchandise waiting for you, including the Trianda ball that we're watching as the key of all these games. They've also got soccer, softball, baseball, tennis, tons of running shoes, the best casual selection of shoes in town, lots of really cool stuff, and an amazing bike room with tons of cool bikes, including cruisers as well as a number of e-bikes. Royal Sports, 750 Pembina Highway. Make sure to pop down there and get those Bjorks while they're hot before all of your friends and other Jet fans do. We mentioned the Gold Eyes earlier today. Great stretch of baseball, sweep on the weekend. They've won 4 in a row. It's the All-Star break. They're off for 4. Then they're on the road. The Gold Eyes are back a week Friday, the 24th of July, for their next home game and the next home stand. But coming up on Saturday is, you see those beers in that video there, it's the Ballpark Brew Fest. For those of you that have enjoyed like Flatlanders Beer Festival in the past, this is going to be quite the event of the best in local brews. Of course, it's all local at the ballpark whenever you go to Blue Cross Park. That is coming up on Saturday. This Saturday, go to goldeyes.com for more information. We'll have to lean on the catchman, Andrew Collier, to come on and tell us a little bit more about what awaits. And, of course, we've got a contest for tickets as well for that. Make sure to go to winnipegsportstalk.com and click on the contest link if you want to pick that up. But that is coming up on Saturday. Well, I know a lot of people were out traveling on the weekend. One of my buddies went out to Nudimick Lake yesterday. Listen, if you could have gotten to a lake or into a lake, even on a day trip, you had to do it. And right now is a great time to do exactly that and see our beautiful province. If you are planning your next adventure, start with Travel Manitoba. Whether you're searching for road trip inspiration, hidden gems, or the latest festivals and events, everything you need is waiting at travelmanitoba.com. And if you're looking for deals on the go, follow along on social media at Travel Manitoba for real-time inspiration, local tips, and can't miss experiences from across the province. And if you do prefer a personal touch, you can stop by the Visitor Information Center at the Forks in Winnipeg. All right, let's get Remo back in here. We do have to get horse picks tonight. We've got some really cool things to get to in the Coolbet segment, but that might have been one of the longer, the longer Jet segments we've had ever with Mike. And the fact that it's on the 13th of July kind of cracks me up, Remo, but I guess that's what we do in the peg. Viggo's back. Perfetti's got an ARB date. Helly's getting traded. There's a lot on the docket.
Yeah. I mean, the Winnipeg Jets, as you mentioned, Viggo Bjorck signing today, Hellebuyck ongoing drama, and the Cole Perfetti arbitration hearing, July 20. So that is the deadline, a week from today. So we'll have clarity, hopefully before then, if they can come to terms on a contract. And I find it interesting, this Jets second line, what is it going to look like, especially if Hellebuyck is as gone as you and Mike think he is? Could you get an upgrade there at second? I think that would be a huge bonus for the Jets.
But just to be clear, I am not saying it's 99% that he's getting traded in the next. I'm actually far more skeptical that it gets done before training camp. I'd actually more put it around 50-50. I think there's just as good a chance of Chevy getting the deal that he wants and it gets done, as Hellebuyck has a very awkward media address when he gets to Winnipeg and talks about just focusing on playing hockey and moving forward. As I said, the offer hasn't been there yet. I'm not sure what changes over the course of the next little bit. And as I mentioned with Mike, the one thing that can change is teams' depth charts if players get injured. We're going to see what happens. But, the reason why I think he will be traded at some point, and this goes back to Drager when Dregs got in, and we all know where Dregs' pipeline is coming. He all but confirmed the request for a change of scenery. And when he said, from a Jets perspective, and I think this goes all the way up to the top, there is an element of oh, you don't want to be here? Well, okay, well, then maybe we don't want you here either. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but basically, listen, we don't want a bunch of guys that are sitting around here wanting to get out, and we'll do what we can to move you. So I think that's where things are at right now, but it could take a while. And I'm not sure that, barring Hellebuyck coming out and coming to training camp, saying, you know what, that was earlier on, I'm actually really fired up. But I don't know whether people would believe it, to be perfectly honest with you, even if they did sort of a public 180, said, can't wait to be back here playing in front of the Winnipeg fans. But again, you go out, win a few hockey games and say the right things, and all that can quickly get in the rear view. I don't think it's going to, but there certainly is a possibility. And again, we've seen this before. Here's T. Will in the chat. Scheif would have been gone, but Chevy didn't like the return he was going to get for him either. The issue may be that Chevy doesn't quite have his finger on the pulse of the player market. I don't know how you can say that based on the return he's had for other trades. But the other thing, T. Will, and this is why I say, that's all fine. He signed an 8-year extension. It was he could have gone to unrestricted free agency, played out the last year. Could have absolutely done that. So I don't know. I think that's not one of your better takes, T. Will. Let's see. Now, the Schickster in chat, I like that number. This is obviously about Viggo Bjorck. I like that number. Is that a training camp number or a forever number? Sounds like a training camp number, but I think it's going to be a forever number. He has worn that before. And there's a few beauties out there that have worn it in the past. Rick Nash, Maxim Afinogenov, Corey Stillman, Mark Stone. But now there's a 61 in town, and Liz is very excited. A new unique jersey number to add to the list for the Winnipeg Jets. All right, Reem. Let's quickly get over to the Coolbet Lines. We have some congratulations in order. Let me just get this text from the fellas. It looks like, who was our winner in the CFL Pick'em this week? It was Cold Friesen. Cold Friesen was the Week 6 winner with 40 points. And there's now a tie at the top of the overall leaderboard between Ted Lai 2 and Skins 44 at 120. And Week 7 is live. So if you want to go down there, pop in the Coolbet Lines and make your picks. Now, hey, while you're at it, Remis, just go back there for 1 second. If you're watching with us on the show, you'll see this green bear right here. Predict the Open and win prizes. That is going to be the one that you want to go in. It's another free contest. This is super fun for the golf majors. You've got the list of all the players there. Go in, you predict their score for round number 1, save it, and then you come back for round 2, 3, and 4 and add it in. I've said this before. I won $250 in this one, in the male one, I think, for the Masters. The key is making sure you get your picks in. Now, the good thing about the Open is that it starts for us like in the middle of the night and is usually done quite early. So you'll have lots of time once it gets reset to get your picks in. But make sure to go over. It works exactly the same as the CFL. You just have to have a Coolbet account. Set one up if you haven't already. No deposit necessary. If you do want to make a deposit, though, use WST as a promo code. Hook you up with a 100% bonus up to $200. But this is completely free. $500 plus some great Coolbet merch for first prize. $250 for second. $150 for third. $150. So over $1,000 they're giving away, and it is quite easy. So the Open prizes, the first one is for PGA. It's a private PGA Canada one. So you just want Coolbet in the Open Pick'em, the bear wearing the green shirt and lovely hat. That's there for you. And then, of course, the WST CFL Pick'em. There you have it. You can click on that. Still time to get in. $50 weekly prize. Cold Freezin's got it this week. And you got BC at Edmonton, Montreal at Calgary, Toronto at Hamilton, Winnipeg at Ottawa, Bombers on Sunday. And Remo, I don't want to tee you up for a Remo rant, but I know you're not pleased that this week, again, Major League Baseball All-Star break, no baseball on Thursday night. And for some inexplicable reason, they go away from having a Thursday night CFL game and have a Saturday doubleheader.
My blood is boiling as you're talking about this. I'm so mad. Everyone knows that this week, the week of the MLB All-Star Game, it's the Home Run Derby tonight, is the slowest week on the sports calendar. There are no games in the evening. If you're the CFL and you want to grab attention from American viewers or viewers in Canada who might be busy watching the Blue Jays every night, why would you not have a game on Thursday? Hell, have it on Wednesday, even if the All-Star game is on a Tuesday. This is prime sports real estate being wasted, and this happens every year, Huss.
We had the same conversation last year. Like, wait a second, there's no Thursday game this week? The week where there's no baseball? What are we doing?
What?
And of course, like, it's World Cup, like Tuesday and Wednesday. Like, TSN's wide open that day. And to your point about the Wednesday, this is a week where, and again, there'd be some trickle down before, but I mean, we've seen the Bombers play short weeks. It's a home and home between Montreal and Calgary. Like, you couldn't have done one game on the Thursday and then the next one on the Wednesday. I mean, it would have been a slam dunk. It would have been great for TV. It would have been the only show in town. It would have been, I guarantee you would have had more people in the States watching the product. So I don't know. We're going to have to find out why this is, because this is like, you're right. This is not the first time that this has happened, but some very strange scheduling in the CFL. Well, while we're at it, let's take a quick look at the games, the lines for the weekend. Matt, I'm having a great year picking the games. 14-8 now against the spread, 3-1 on the weekend. My lone loss was the Stamps. I had them plus 3.5, and they did not cover against the Alouettes. They're back at it this week. We got BC and Edmonton. I think Edmonton opened as 4.5-point favorites. It's now 3.5. Alouettes in Calgary, the rematch. The Alouettes are 1.5-point favorites on the road. I actually thought Calgary might be a slight favorite. I'll probably be taking Calgary this week. CFL 110, by the way, is going to be on Wednesday at 10 a.m. live here on WST, which is going to allow us to dive into the Open Championship with the WST Winners Gang tomorrow. We will be live at 10 a.m. getting ready for Royal Birkdale and the Open Championship. Second part of the Saturday doubleheader is the Argos and Ticats going at it at Tim Hortons Field. The Ticats, I mean, I don't even know what to say about them right now. They're a lost cause without Bo Levi Mitchell. Insane how their season has just done a 180 since he got hurt against the Bombers. Toronto's 5-point favorites in Hamilton against the Ticats. And then it's the Bombers and the Red Blacks. And the Bombers are 4-point favorites against Ottawa. I would imagine this will be Drew Brown revenge game. I don't think they'll be rushing Zach back with the way Drew played last week and the opportunity to go up against Ottawa. But we will see as the Bombers return to practice tomorrow. But there you have it. Bomber Grey Cup number right now, 9-1. Riders plus 350. They are the second one. Alouettes Grey Cup favorite at 2-1. We got Edmonton 7, Argos plus 750, BC and Calgary at 8. What disrespect on the Bombers? BC is 8-1. Bombers are 9-1. BC's in last place. They may not even make the playoffs. We'll see. Hamilton 30-1, Ottawa 50-1. So all that's there. CFL section at Coolbet. The Open Championship odds are out. I just have to shout out our guy Tom Kim. Biggest win of the season for myself and Patty, 66-1. Hit the winner yesterday. And if you rode with us on our Sunday Sweat Club, the top 20 parlay, we had Tom Kim, we had Bobby Mack, we had Chris Gotterup. That one cashed at plus 1856. And I want to give a shout out to Darren Chalice, who's a winner, a listener of ours. Darren is a poker guy, had never bet sports before, and was having an issue that I needed to help him out with. Just registering a Coolbet and getting in for the poker tourney last week. So whatever, we helped him out. And I said, while you're at it, if you want, we've got our little golf bet this week, go up there. He sends me a message yesterday going, sorry, I was on the other one. He goes, Huss, big snipe, Huss. This is amazing. That is my first ever sports bet. I threw down $10, almost 20-1. Very impressive. So we make DC a little bit of money. And to top it all off, he took me out in the poker tourney and won the $100 bounty on my head. So nice start to your Coolbet career, Mr. Chalice. Very well done. Scotty Scheffler's the favorite despite his missed cut streak ending at the Scottish Open. Rory's at 9-1. Matty Fitzpatrick and Tommy Fleetwood 16-1. John Rahm 22. Xander Schauffele 25. Colin Morikawa 28. Ludwig Oberg, Wyndham Clark, Chris Gotterup, Tyrrell Hatton, Victor Hovland, Bobby Mack, Justin Rose, Cam Young, all in that 33 range. And then it goes all the way up to 50-1. And, Remo, you're a guy that loves good Val, as we say. Yesterday, I'm sweating out this Tom Kim Scottish Open win. And he had a 2-shot lead. And I knew he'd been playing really good, and he's done well in the Open Championship before. And I thought, I should put a little snipe on him for the Open. And I went over, the odds were up. I got him at 75-1. And 2 hours later, he was down to 55-1, and now he's at 50-1.
There you go.
Definitely a nice snipe. But anyways, check out the odds board and join us tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., and make sure you jump in the free-to-play Coolbet Pick'em contest for the Open Championship under Coolbet League right by the CFL Pick'em. One other thing to get to, World Cup. Well, actually, the Derby, too, tonight. We'll take a quick look at. We got France, Spain tomorrow. England, Argentina Wednesday. France, this is on the three-way. France plus 143, draw 222. Spain plus 231. And then for the England game, England's the favorite at plus 169. A draw is 2-1, and Argentina plus 215. I like France. I like England in these matchups. So we've got a new ride with Huss. We're just basically pouring money into people's accounts right now these days with these picks. Especially shout out Aaron Bronstetter for the best betting advice ever when he came on, saying that the biggest value of all time was Max Holloway on the weekend. Put that one in with everything. And needless to say, well, I'm looking forward to Remis's take on the McGregor fight in a minute. But anyways, the ride with Huss for tomorrow for the soccer, it's in the combo cards. France to qualify, meaning just France to make it through, whether it's penalties, extra time, doesn't matter. France to win and both teams to score in the game. England to win on Wednesday, both teams to score in the game. That's boosted. Patty, he's taking care of us. Plus 821 to plus 925. We've got a Patty on the pitch as well. And then Remo, tonight we've got the home run derby. I'm going to the track tonight. I want to see the Wiener Dogs race and everything else. So that's where I'll be. But I don't mind the nukes only home run derby odd of Mineka Murakami. Home runs in round one over 9.5 and Schwarber over 10.5. That's plus 260. But there's some good options. As far as the derby goes, Schwarber's the favorite. Shout out Matt Leibel. Leib's always used to do a home run derby pool. I always loved that. But Schwarber the favorite, 3-1, it's now down to plus 275. Junior Caminero. Well, both of those numbers have dropped a little bit since we were doing the log shop earlier. And then Murakami. Where are you at on the derby today, Reno?
Yeah, I kind of like Schwarber. I know it's the chalk, but I like Schwarber and Caminero. I mean, these guys are experienced guys. We saw Caminero last year. You know, one of these young guys, Jordan Walker, Jack Angeloni, Ben Rice. I mean, Harper's not as much of a pure power guy anymore. And Wilson Contreras, is that the catcher? I'm trying to think. Is that the guy that's on my? Yeah. There's two Contreras.
Oh,
but this is the one on. No, I think of Williams. Sorry. Either way, I'm leaning Schwarber and Caminero. In this one, I know it's a chalk. Maybe Murakami if you want to take a longer shot here. I'm not sure about you, Huss.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I was originally thinking Schwarber at home.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, so is Bryce Harper.
It's true too.
So I mean, maybe Harper is a much longer number. Maybe I'll take a little sprinkle on that. Mm-hmm. Not as dialed in on the game this year. By the way, shout out to my guy Dylan Cease. He's starting. How about this, by the way, just for the greatness of Roy Halladay, Reem? Dylan Cease starting the All-Star game for the Blue Jays. First Jay to start since I believe 2007 when it was Roy Halladay. And Christopher Sanchez is starting for the NL, representing the Phillies. First Philly to start the All-Star game since, you guessed it, Roy Halladay. I'm sure that'll be mentioned tomorrow on the program. But anyways, we've got so much going on over at Coolbet right now. Special thanks to Big Maple as well. Big Maple often throws in Big Maple often throws in some great picks. He hooked me up big time. Patty the Batty by submission and the Holloway TKO. If Big Maple was in Winnipeg, I'd be setting him up with a nice bar tab somewhere. Remo, before we get to the ASD picks, we quickly have to talk about the fight. Listen, the Patty the Batty was amazing. Like, that was worth getting to Boston Pizza, wherever you watch the game for, the fights for. Submitting that guy, or really just choking him out in 40 seconds. Incredible. As great as that was, the main event was equally embarrassing. What a travesty. McGregor literally stealing $30 million from the UFC, going in somewhat injured, lasted 25 seconds pathetically on his back trying to kick. I I see Ticona Pauly with a super chat. Thanks, Ticona. Bad look, UFC. McGregor should have never been medically cleared to fight. Going into the ring, you could see that leg troubled him. Hashtag Irish mob scam. LOL. Go Patty the Batty. Batty's the new guy. I mean, after doing that. But, Rima, I don't know about you. Like, we saw that thing where he sort of was a little wobbly, like before he came in. That was his left leg. His right leg apparently was the issue during the fight. All I know is that when he came out and appeared on the screen for the first time, I said to the guys that I was looking at, I go, he looks effed up. Like, he didn't look right. So I don't know whether he was on a bunch of painkillers or something to try to get through it. All I know is that that was an absolute scam. And as I said yesterday, like, the Riders minus 8.5 was free money. The most free money ever, with the exception of Max Holloway on Saturday night against the scam artist, the notorious Conor McGregor.
Yeah, shout out to Aaron Bronstetter, who came on our show. You're doing a
Tip
great
of the year.
job. Yeah, reporting for Sportsnet. There's a reason why he was nominated for MMA Journalist of the Year, saying he couldn't believe that Holloway was only minus 200 favorite. Should have been minus 700. And you know what, Huss? Conor McGregor, I was never bought into the hype of him, like when he was winning fights. I don't know, he never did it for me. It's come out in the last couple of years, not a good guy. I don't really care that he lost. I bet on Holloway. I won my bet.
Oh, we loved it.
I'm pretty happy. It was
Would have been nice to see an actual fight and see him lose as opposed to just go in there.
He got it. Yeah, well,
It was pathetic.
He got embarrassed, I think. He's got another fight on his deal. The rumors are he's going to leave UFC to go box on Netflix and make some money. I don't know who wants to watch this guy. I guess people like me who like to see him lose. Same thing why people watch Jake Paul these days. So
the guy is box office. I mean, it was huge money. I mean, like, all those people paying the big money for the fights, like, are they coming back? I don't know. Like, this can really damage your brand. But yeah, he had 2 fights left, which he needed to do before he could do anything else. If I'm Dana, I just say, you want out of the contract? After that, see you later. Go fight Jake Paul in fixed fights in front of a bunch of YouTubers or whatever. We don't care. This is a professional organization, and you, my friend, are far from a professional. Probably at any point, but especially at this point in his life. And who could have thought that, 5 years of out of control behavior and probably overwhelming amounts of cocaine would do that to a high level athlete. Go figure. Anyways, that was a joke on the weekend. But again, thank you to Aaron Bronstetter for the tip on the incredible value on Max Holloway, despite being just over it.
Yeah, got a nice super chat from Derek Schmidt.
Stop making lasting 25 seconds sound like it's a terrible thing, Huss. It's a medical problem. I see what you did there. I see what you did there, Derek. Nicely done. Hey, I want to thank our friends at Aikens Lake for the... just wrapping on Coolbet. Tomorrow, 10 a.m., we're doing golf. Wednesday, 10 a.m., we're doing CFL 110. And next Tuesday, July 21st, is the third and second last poker tourney with your chance to qualify for the finals for the trip to the Coolbet Open in Estonia in September. Unbelievable prize. If you like poker, join us next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Yes, great time for fishing right now. Our friends at Aikens Lake are killing it. They're having an amazing summer. If you're thinking about a fly-in fishing trip here in Manitoba, where you can be on the water in less than 2 hours or around 2 hours from Winnipeg, including the flight, Aikens Lake is the spot. World-class fishing, even more world-class hospitality from the Aikens team and the Turan family. Find out more and check out their socials at aikenslake.com and Aikens Lake on socials. Aikenlakes.com is the website for more information or availability on booking for anything left this season and well into 2027. It is quick Breezy Ben golf report. I already glazed Tom Kim enough for winning the Scottish Open. Big golf week for the pros. Big golf week right here in Manitoba. It's the Not AutoCorp Amateur Championship. Golf Manitoba. What do we have here? We have a two-way tie at the top. Rory Neal from Glendale, Jordan Walford from Whitewater. One shot up on Jay Doyle, who's -2. He's from Niagara. A pair of Elmhurst golfers, Caleb Lambert and Tyler Polanski, in at 1 under. Drew Jones from Shiloh was even. Evan Nachtigal, who I believe won the match play, if I'm not mistaken. He's won over Al McDonald from Breezy Bend, David Spur from Elmhurst, the fan man, Todd Fanning. What a legend. The guy is just always there. He's been doing it for decades now. Todd Fanning from Niagara is at +1. Ryder Fall from Rossmere, Adam Blair from Elmhurst, Paul Nicholson from St. B, Curtis Lubinsky, all at +1. The action continues, and I think we're going to get Munzie on tomorrow to join us around 2:30 with a bit of an update. But shout out to Alan McDonald representing Breezy, everyone out there. Of course, Breezy Bend, one of the top private courses in Manitoba. If you're thinking about a long-term golfing home for you and your family, talk to Corey Johnson at the clubhouse or find out more at breezybend.ca. All right, we got to get to our horse picks first, though. It's hot outside. Let's give a big cheers to our friends at Winnipeg and Manitoba's favorite local brewery, Little Brown Jug.
You train day in and day out, learning new techniques, approaching new concepts, and living out the thrill of achieving your goals. Building a craft beer is no different. While you spend your hours on the ice, we spend ours here, brewing our trademark beer. Again, and again. Here's to pushing the status quo and challenging ourselves to build something memorable. 1919 by Little Brown Jug.
Oh, yes, and thank you for reminding me. How can I forget the queen of Canadian golf, Brooke Henderson? Evian Masters on the weekend. Did you see that, Remis?
I heard about it.
Hole-in-one and an eagle. Like, she was 4 under par on 2 holes. She shot 64 yesterday. And I believe eagled 18, like, to get into the playoff. It was absolutely phenomenal. So great to see her at her top level again. Unfortunately, was a little bit off on her approach shot on the playoff hole and finished second in a playoff, but absolutely stellar. An ace, and I think she had like 6 eagles in the tournament, something like that. She's a very special one. So congratulations to her for a great performance at the Evian Masters. Remo, tonight's the night. I think I've been talking about this for about 3 weeks. Wiener dog races at Assiniboia Downs. Well, first of all, it's Monday. We don't get a lot of the Mondays throughout the year. It is usually Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And of course, Tuesday will be going. Wednesday will be going. But it's dollar nights tonight at the track. Now, it is hot outside, but you can jump in, get a little AC, I'm sure, in the VLT room if you want. Check out the deals for dollar night specials. Bag of chips, $1. Canned pop, $1. Regular lemonade, small popcorn, regular hot dogs, ice cream, all $2. And $5 for butter Bud Lights. In addition to those great deals, tonight at the track is the annual Wiener Dog Races. That's going to happen after race 3 around 9 p.m. I did ask the powers that be at Assiniboia Downs if we would be able to wager on the Wiener Dogs. That was a no. It is purely for entertainment purposes, but you know it will be entertaining. And if you're out there with the crew, as I'm going to be, I'm sure you can figure out a way to get a little action on it within your group. So Wiener Dog races after race 3 and incredible dollar night specials all Mondays. That is today, Monday, August 24th, and Monday, September 14th. I'm bringing a guy to see if he can eat 25 hot dogs tonight. I'm going to go and buy like literally 24 dogs. And the deal is, you have to buy the ones you don't eat. And we'll see who gets the bill at the end of it all. Anyway, it's going to be a fun night at the track. And Remo, quick update on our season-long competition for our head-to-head pick fest at Assiniboia Downs. We are now basically in a dead heat. I think I'm up by you by $2. I had a nice little start. You were a little cold. You've come back. And we're now basically halfway through the season, and absolutely nothing has been accomplished.
Yeah, we're having some fun here. I got off to a slow start, but I've been going steady here. And a big week of racing. One of us, hopefully me, taking a lead over the other.
Yeah, so let's get to the picks for tonight. Couple of smaller races to start it off. And I don't know if I'm going to be able to stand the heat right through to race 7. So I'm making my picks for the show on race 5, 6, and 7. And then I'm going to be in attendance, so I'll bet live for the other 4 races. But what have you cooked up for tonight?
Okay, I'm on 2, 5, 6, 7. Race 2. Horse 2 to win, Mr. Dazzle. It's going with a long shot here. Mr. Dazzle's been around for a while. So I'm going with that one. Race 5, I am on trifecta box 167. That's just a program selection. AI Smart Pick, playing it safe here. Worked for me one day last week. Prime Suspect, Truly Unbelievable, and Elston Gun.
You know, while you're there on race 5,
Yeah.
I'm actually very similar to you, but I am going with a 1-3-7. 1, the favorite. I think 7 will be in there. I'm fading Truly Unbelievable, and I'm going with number 3, Really Rallis.
Okay.
So 1-3-7 versus 1-6-7. We'll see what happens tonight. Do you have race 6?
Yeah, horse 2 to win, Bossy Holiday. Bit of a slightly behind the top 3 and 6 in the program selection smart picks.
Okay, I'm going $2 to win on 3, Cajun Eddie. And then I'm putting Cajun Eddie in, if this one comes through, I think it'll pay pretty good. Cajun Eddie, number 3, number 1, Burn Jakey Burn, and number 9, Tis Romantic, a 1-3-9 triactor box, trifecta box, whatever you want to call it, for for race number 6. And then do you have 7?
Yeah, I've got 1-5-7 in this. Hey Big Un, Aves in Command, and Ghost Cowboy. Bit of a really long shot. I don't know. We saw some crazy long shots. Was that like 2 weeks ago?
7, the Ghost Cowboy?
Yeah, Ghost Cowboy.
Wow.
Crazy long. That's a wit horse. Ghost Cowboy. Okay, so watch out.
I like those. I got a 1-3-5 on race 7. Hey Big Un. 3 is Nautical Moon, and 5 is Avs in Command. You can play at hpibet.com and watch it on YouTube, but tonight, take advantage of the Dollar Day deals and get down to the track. Wiener dog races after race number 3. I cannot wait. If you see me there, say hi tonight. What do you got going on tonight, Reem?
Yeah, Winnipeg's got some really good cheap dogs. We did the Gold Eyes Tuesday, $2 dog, and I had
Tuesday nights. Those are phenomenal. Goldie's Grill. You know where to find them.
Big dog for $2. I was really impressed, and I had the $3.50 hot dog at the Bomber game, and
which isn't a special, by the way. That's every single game. Dogs at the Bomber game are $3.50. Great deal, and an excellent hot dog, if I do say so myself.
So yeah, $2 regular hot dogs here for Monday. Mondays at the Downs. So very exciting tonight. I don't know. I got some social media stuff I got to do for Winnipeg Sports Talk, putting out some great reels. I know Connor's been busy editing some of the commentary from today, so we'll be putting those.
Plenty of takes for Connor today, that's for sure.
Yeah,
we'll get him on the program coming up in the next couple days as well. But if you want more on the Bombers, Schnitzy and Connor chopped it up today at 9 a.m. on YouTube. It's there for you. Podcast Bomber Report coming out of the big win on Friday for the Blue. They'll be back at practice tomorrow. Looking forward to having Joe Pascucci's going to join us on Wednesday, I believe. That's going to be fun. It's been a bit since we've had the Scooch on. And we'll have more on Viggo. Ken's tomorrow, right, Reem?
Ken has requested to join tomorrow in perfect time for Ken with some big news.
Excellent, excellent. So we'll talk to Ken about the Jets. We'll have the latest on the Bombers. World Cup tomorrow as well, quarterfinals. Is that game?
It's at 2. It's going to be during this back half of our show. So
come on.
Well,
that sucks.
I'll be having it on, I guess. I mean, that Argentina game, that was the late game on Saturday, right? Like ended right before the McGregor fight. It was so happy it didn't go into penalties because it would have overlapped.
Did it end?
Oh, sorry. They scored. You know what? They scored in extra time, and then I switched the channel and said, "This is done."
Yeah, no. It was still like the World Cup game lasted longer.
Yeah, sorry.
Than the UFC. Patty took care of him quite quickly.
You know what? I have multiple TVs, so I put after they scored the goal, I put the World Cup on the main TV, and the McGregor fight was just about to start. So then I put that one on the big TV and moved it to the soccer to the smaller TV. But I don't know. It seemed like it was over there with Argentina getting the go-ahead goal, and they scored again, didn't they? They scored 2 there.
They did.
In the extra time.
3-1. How about that? Yeah, damn it. Both of these games are at 2. That really
Switzerland, that guy got the yellow card and was crying after. And Argentina, I mean, they didn't give up the ball after that. The game was done.
No, well, listen, that guy that got the yellow card and he already had a yellow card.
Oh.
So that was his second yellow, which is why he got kicked out of the game, and they had to play with 10 men. Did you see what he did?
No, I was coming off the beach.
It was a dive so egregious that they went to VAR to check it out. Like he did the thing where he went down, he went all around, and the guy literally did not touch him. And they said, you know what? That is unsportsmanlike behavior. Gave him the yellow. He already had one. So it was a red, and it was devastating to Switzerland. I mean, to take them down to 10 men. And yeah, he had a nervous breakdown or whatever on the field, realizing that idiotic dive attempt had probably screwed his team's World Cup dreams. But you can have it for more. Like I realize a lot of guys sell, they WWE style selling when they get fouled. And I mean, that's just part of it. They want to make sure the referees see what happened. It's the full, complete dives where you are just simply trying to trick the ref into a BS call. That's what they really have to get out. And very cautionary tale for the Swiss. We got the top 4 teams. Looking forward to it. Tomorrow, Wednesday, 2:00 starts for the World Cup. All right, we got to get this podcast up. Long show today, but we loved it. We'll talk more tomorrow. We'll hear from Drew Brown tomorrow and the latest from the Bombers. Ken Weeb on the Jets. Viggo Mania, running wild. Anything happening with Helly, we'll talk about that as well tomorrow as well. Enjoy the Derby tonight. Have a great one. Thanks to all of our sponsors and all of you for making us a part of your day. Have a great one, and we will see you tomorrow, 10 a.m. live for our open preview and pick show, and then 1:00 right here for Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily.
Oh my God! Oh! Shut it down! Let's go home!
Thanks for tuning in to Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcast feed at winnipegsportstalk.com.